Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson motorcycle helmets. My number one helmet. I use it every day I ride. You should give it a try. Check them out, simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com, as well as on Instagram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Lexin Moto has an intercom system for you. The all-new Lexin G16 is the group rider's long-awaited answer to an affordable intercom system. With a 16-rider comm system, Bluetooth 5.0, and music sharing, it'll keep your group connected while traveling together. This is another great product from the Lexin team geared at making motorcycle rides and travel more enjoyable. Check it all out at lexin-moto.com, where you can apply the Fast Life offer code and save yourself 15% off. And give them a follow on Instagram at Lexin Moto. thundermax has your EFI-equipped Harley-Davidson covered with their high-quality auto-tuning ECMs. I have been running their computer on my Road Glide for over 40,000 miles, and it continues to give me the optimal performance out of my engine. Paired with a touring oil cooler fan, my bike has been running strong and at a desirable temperature. You can check out these products at shoptmax.com and use offer code FASTLIFE to save yourself 10% off. And as always, give these guys a follow on Instagram at thundermaxefi. I switched all my lighting on my Road Glide to Letric Lighting Co. I'm a huge fan of their looks and their improved visibility I get from the shark tooth headlight. And I'm digging the 5-year warranty on the 15 different LED headlight options they have for your motorcycle. Their deluxe and premium LED turn signals offer 530 lumens of bright white running light, which are the brightest in the industry, and have a lifetime warranty. And last but not least, the LED tail lamps come in a wide range of design to add that finishing touch, and all products are plug and play. NAM's custom cycle products since 1999 have been offering American-made wiring products for all things V-twin, and Badlands for over 30 years have been offering the most reliable and dependable lighting modules in the USA, backed by a lifetime warranty. Find out more about these great companies at namscustomcycleproducts.com, and you can drop the FL 2020 offer code, which gives you free shipping on orders over $100. Check them out. John Jessup's Team Dream Rides out of Stockton, California is a one-stop shop for you to have your motorcycle customized, maintained, repaired, and upgraded. With in-house dyno tuning and parts and accessories. Also, check out teamdreamrides.com online store to see the full array of products for your bike and you as a rider. And if you're short on cash, you can take advantage of the 100 days same as cash financing on all products. Teamdreamrides.com. All you need is a job and a bank account. And while you're at it, give John and the team a follow on Instagram at DreamRidesJohn. Paint Huffer Metal Flake has been with our podcast since day one, and I've been using their flakes and pearls in my paint work for over 4 years now. You can get started down this custom paint path with many must-have items in the custom paint process at painthuffer.com. And you can save yourself some coin by using the Fast Life 25 offer code. And last but not least, you can get a lot of inspiration by checking out all the amazing paint work created with Paint Huffer products at Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram. What's up and welcome back. Great show for you guys today. It starts off strong, finishes strong, and we even got a surprise guest in the middle that just pops up out of nowhere. I didn't even know it was going to happen. Really good time. I want to thank the Baker family for opening up the doors and letting us come in and get this backstory, find out more about the products, and just everything you're going to hear. I'm really stoked. This company's really badass. And they are exactly the kind of bikers that I like to spend money with. So without further ado, let's get them. Let's do it right now. Here we go.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
Wait till I tell you later what's in my head.
Okay. All right.
Are you picturing Steve's balls right now?
I am. It's horrid.
He definitely has a fire crotch on it.
Fire crotch.
It's
The
hard
fire
to make me blush, but I
crotch.
think he got me.
Old fire
Okay.
crotch. I love it.
So just so you know, that's how we started this podcast.
All right, man. That's cool. That's cool. That's
biker
cool.
shit.
That's biker shit. That's where
So
we roll.
Lisa, Bert, What's up, man? And lady?
Yeah, man. Hey.
Now
hey.
it's awkward, right? So,
Now it's awkward, yeah. Go ahead.
I was, the tour, the shop's amazing. It's exactly what I said to you.
Yeah.
I would want to see of a bike shop that has so much history in like our motorcycle industry for the last, over 20 years now.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's I got some inspiration from Rick Fairless. You walk in his place, man, and it's like a fucking, museum. It's like what do they call the Madame Tussauds wax museum type thing, There's all this freaky fucking, history and stuff, and to us who work here every day, it's just like, oh well, that's our shop. But to people who come in, that come through our place, it's like a wax museum, man. It's like history and stuff, and it's insanity, and it's everything that our business stands for.
Well, I just just seeing all the posters and even all the marketing stuff that you guys have used over the years, and having the posters up, and it just fits, man. And I know it's exactly what you mean by Rick's shop. It's it's either you're looking at the bikes he's built, the bikes he's selling, or the shit that's on his walls. It's one or the other.
It's very rich, very rich, and I dig that, man. I dig that. So he's one of your local heroes, man, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got my start for another shop that does his paint work, and it was a good. It's just fucking amazing to go in to be at an entry-level position in an industry and be able to be sitting there sanding a bike while there's Discovery Channel cameras going by.
You were in the right place at the right time for sure, man. But I'm a big fan of what you're doing right now, man. You're trying to propagate this very rich culture and get it out there for people to know. Exactly.
Well, what was crazy? Like I said, I wanted to talk about the lineage or the story of the Baker Drivetrain family. Sitting here.
That's it.
And so I didn't know this, but you were telling me earlier that both you and your wife were engineers for GM.
That is correct. Yeah, you're in and my name is Bert fucking Baker, and I approve this message.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, I just want to get that straight. And he's Balls over there, Steve Balls.
Balls.
And so you're in an Oldsmobile town.
For real?
Lansing is and was an Oldsmobile town. Lisa's family is actually very rich in employment there. Her father used to run half of the plant there, and in the quality department. He had 500 dudes underneath him. I mean, he had a fucking army, and so Lisa, is we both went to Michigan State University to get our degrees.
Mm-hmm.
She graduated with honors, and I barely graduated.
Yeah,
it's just the way it goes. And but we're both mechanical engineers, and we went to work for Oldsmobile in the mid '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Well, I used to love the Cutlass, man. That was my jam.
The Cutlass is a bad motherfucker, man. The Cutlass still is. It made him through 1986, right?
Yeah.
The rear-wheel drive G-car platform.
G-bodies.
And so we went to work for General Motors, but General Motors started changing radically in the mid-'80s, and we were in the engineering department. I was responsible for the small manual transmission that went in front-wheel drive cars like the Grand Am and the Cavalier. She was responsible for clutch and clutch actuator systems in the same. And that's where we met. And by the mid-'90s, though, it wasn't as much fun. Would you agree with that, Lisa Baker?
Right. They were just reorganizing.
Okay. And
they moved us to the tech center.
And they moved our job to Detroit,
to Warren,
which helped. Warren, Michigan is, I have another name for it called Hades. It's basically Detroit. That whole fucking shithole down there, which we love. It's rich in culture, but I just choose not to live there. I'm a hillbilly.
Yeah.
I want to live out here in the woods, and so I'm a hillbilly-ass biker. And so Detroit wasn't it. We had 4 kids at the time, and
we still do.
Did
you lose a couple?
No, they didn't come up missing. No. We still have four young kids.
Yeah.
That we
they were
didn't want
young.
to put into the school system down there, and so that's what helped us, Lisa and I. Well, actually, I was the holdout. I said, because it was on the day that Princess Diana died, August 1st, 1997, that the first prototype ran. Because I designed the 6-speed overdrive on the side, in my spare time, and made 3 prototypes. The first one ran in August 31st, 97. First one sold in August of 98. And,
So how did, while you were, both working there and creating these love childs, basically.
Yeah,
that you
for
talked
sure,
about.
for sure.
Where did the motorcycle come into fact? Like, where did that come into play from your engineering backgrounds?
I think I understand your question. I raced motocross as a kid, KX 250. I recall in 1986 buying my first KX 250 from the local dealer that also sold these other motorcycles called Harleys. I went in there to pick up my shiny new KX 250 in 86, man, and I looked over and there's this piece of shit with oil underneath it, and I thought, who the fuck in their right mind would want anything to do with that? And it came down to, it was in 92. I had a buddy I started getting into street bikes because I was never a street bike cat. I was dirt bikes. And I set out to buy my first street bike, and I was faced with a fork in the road, and I told my buddy, who had a 91 Fat Boy at the time. Everybody after the Terminator had a black Fat Boy. The Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger with a shotgun on a black Fat Boy. That's a bad motherfucker right there.
Side note, I just watched the Brian Bosworth. What was
the Boz?
The Boz.
Yeah.
I was down in Houston, and my boys down there put it on he has like a warehouse kind of house party kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Cool
so
kid
they
party.
Did the projector on the wall thing, and what was it? Stone Cold was that movie?
The Boz. I cannot. That was in the wake of Terminator.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah. That was in the wake, but it was the same thing. The Boz on a black Fat Boy. And so just a beautiful image in my mind. Of Americana, and so. I said, listen, buddy, here's my dilemma. I can either buy a ZX11 or whatever it was, Ninja or whatever, big bore Ninja for $9,000, or I can buy the latest in 1903 technology. this Harley thing, man.
Yeah.
You got to help me out, man. It's not getting through my brain, And he said, well, I tell you what. I'm going to throw you the keys for the weekend. You take my Fat Boy and run around town and see what you think. Well, I was riding around on that motherfucker. I might as well have been a war hero coming back from World War II, man. People were beeping at me. I was waving at them, man. It was all good,
Yeah.
And I was riding around, and, you're in second gear, and you go around a corner, man, and just screw the gas on, man, and the beautiful sound, acceleration. I finally got it. It's something that words or a sales brochure could not capture.
Yeah.
You got to get on one and see how you feel. You feel good whether you're in a town setting or you're out on the highway cruising by yourself, man. I don't have to describe to you and Steve Big Balls over there, what the feeling is, man. It's righteous.
You said it right, because I always try to tell people, especially with traveling, it's like there's no way I can put it into words.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Words cannot define it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Give it a try. Give it a try.
And I would say probably in that, that 90s era, like, bikes were the cool thing to everybody.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because
it
was kind of like the edgy thing. It was kind of like the punk rock thing of that era. You know what I mean? You're against the grain.
They were hard to get, right?
Yeah.
And they were hard to get. They were unobtainium. That's right. You had to be on a list. You remember the list days?
I mean, I don't remember it, but I heard about it.
You heard about it. I mean,
I was into Power Rangers at the time.
Right, I understand. The list days were a bitch back in the day, man. And thankfully, Harley's making enough of them. But so I bought my very first Harley Davidson in fall of 1993, a 94 Softail. And the nostalgia one with Cow Glide, Moo Glide, whatever they call it. And man, I was Dr. Yuppie too, man. I had everything.
You're an engineer,
up.
dude.
I'm an engineer.
Engineer by day.
Yeah.
Tough biker by
Yeah,
Did
right,
you have like
right,
a different
right,
outfit?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you know, back in the day, man, it was really important for me to, when I go riding, man, I got to have my black leather on, and man, I got to be all toughed up.
Was everybody looking like Freddie Mercury back then?
Everybody was like Freddie Mercury / Schwarzenegger, you know, and black leather running around, you know. I didn't have tassels on my handlebars, though. I'm just going to get that fucking straight with you right now, Chase.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I never had fucking tassels. But anyways, I you know, lowered it and fishtail drags, you know, beautiful bike, all that. It was in 1995, Daytona Bike Week.
March 5th.
March 5th to be exactly. I was down at Bike Week, and it's really a daunting feeling when you go into a place and you come out and your motorcycle's gone.
Got a good story about that.
Your motorcycle is gone.
Yeah.
It's like you think somebody played a prank on you or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You go out to the place where you park it, it's not there. And I don't care how much you had to drink, it is sobering.
Yeah.
Very sobering.
Once again, I know.
You know.
I know.
And so I look around the parking lot, I walk around the parking lot, maybe somebody just rolled it off or something, you know. And so it got stolen, and fortunately I had good insurance. Mm-hmm. They compensated me, and so what I did was set out to build the bike I really wanted from scratch, based off of that 94 Softail. But back then, the biggest, baddest motor you could put in was a 5-inch stroke, 103-inch, you know, S&S crate motor. So I put a 103-inch S&S 5-inch stroke in that fucker, got it done. And you'd ride it down. It was powerful. It was fast. It was all good. But you ride it down the road, and all the fillings in your teeth would fall out because it was vibrating so much. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I got to put a smaller sprocket on the rear. You know, take some of the RPM out of it. So I did that, and it turned it into a pig. If you take, you know, a big sprocket on the rear and put a small sprocket on it, yes, it will lower the RPM. It also lowers the performance greatly. Mm-hmm. And so then I thought, well, this thing needs a 6-speed. I look around, anybody making a 6-speed? Nope. I said, well, I got to make one. And then my wife Lisa did exactly.
It's funny because most people in those chopper days are like, I don't like the way this fender looks. I want to make a fender. And you're like, no, I'm just going to re-engineer a gear set, basically.
That's right. And so I made, I used the 5-speed, the beautiful 5-speed design as a design basis, because everything's based off of something. Mm-hmm. There has to be a beginning. And so I designed a 6-speed overdrive variant of that 5-speed design. The first unit start, the first one ran on August 31st, 97. And then...
So how many years was it take to develop the first one? Or was it...
It was, and keep in mind, I'm a vampire. Mm-hmm. I don't sleep. I did not sleep at that time because I was possessed with coming out with this...
Yeah, you're driven.
I was driven. You understand the driven thing. And so it took a year and a half approximately to bring that to fruition. Hey, Balls, man, cut back on the beers over there, man. So it took about a year and a half.
Or less.
I
think it took you less because you pulled my hair and said, go sign up for a business in December of of 96, right?
Correct.
Make Baker Engineering with the state in
Yep.
December 96. Go do it.
Yep.
And by August of 97, it was running.
It was
And then
running
it
less
took-
than a year.
Yep, and then it took less than 1 year to have saleable units.
Our
from
first
there.
run of 50 units in which Andrews Products made the gears.
So
and
we're
shit.
like, you know, when I looking at the transmissions you right in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, obviously with your background and working on transmissions in the cars and things like that, you understand where to find these gears or how to like pull together this thing.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I did, but keep in mind, when you're a transmission engineer at GM, you don't really engineer too much. You go to a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but I did get exposed to that environment, that world. You know, I was blessed to work with the boys at Isuzu in Japan who made one variant of the transmission. I was blessed to be able to work with Getrag out of Ludwigsburg, Germany, Stuttgart area, you know, Porsche country. I was blessed to be able to work with those guys, and I did learn a lot from them. I did learn a lot from them, but I guess I had more exposure to it than the average bear. But
Yeah.
but there's a big difference between going to a meeting and giving reports to your management and sitting down and doing it.
Yeah.
There's a big fucking difference. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily say this about yourself, but you were just born. It's in your soul. You're a real gearhead, right?
Yeah,
10-year-old child. We had 4. We raised 4, and there was no one at 10 years old that would ask for an old lawnmower engine so they could fix it.
That was
That's
my
what he
highlight
would
of
do.
my early existence. Is I would like to go to the old lawnmower shop, and behind every old low-name lawnmower shop is a big pile of busted up Briggs & Stratton engines. That was my idea of fun, man.
Yeah.
Go there and buy a couple for like $4 and take them home and try to make them run and shit. And so I do have the gearhead thing in me, but I didn't have the confidence thing. And so after the first one ran, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
It was not my intent to build 3 prototypes that would then parlay into a business. That was not a grand design of mine. I just wanted to build a prototype. That was my intent. And so I said to Lisa, what the fuck do we do with this? You know, and she said, wait a minute, Chief. What you have here is Beanie Babies. Beanie Babies.
I remember those.
You remember though? You probably had some.
No, I was a Pog guy, but okay.
Okay, I'm with you. And so what we have here is Beanie Babies for adult men.
Yeah.
And so she was my primary cheerleader, and I said, but wait a minute, okay, let's say this is the whip, this is the fucking cool thing, all of that. You just don't fall off a fucking turnip truck and make a transmission business in the basement of your house. And she said, why not? and isn't that about?
Yeah, that's true.
About true story. And so so she was encouragement maybe beyond reality, but her encouragement was the birth of this company. You know, I mean, I had all the wrenches in my toolbox and I knew what to do.
Well, it sounds like any great partnership where you have one person with the gearhead mentality, and clearly you have that too in your engineering background.
I can't design my way out of a paper bag, nor do I want to.
She has no interest in that.
He's an engineer because he loves how things work. He's a gearhead at heart. I'm an engineer because my dad and both my older brothers are engineers.
And they said you couldn't fucking do it.
Somebody somewhere along the line probably said, you can't do that.
You're
and
just
that's
a
the best
girl.
way to it's the best way to motivate me. And I grew up in a time where they said, don't be a teacher, don't be a nurse, because there's too many. And I'm like, well, engineers make decent money, and everybody else I know is an engineer, so I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I did fine in engineering school, but people are more my thing. So you have the ideas and the designs, and
Yep.
I'm better at the business stuff.
Yeah. So that's the way it's divided up here at Baker's. She's the business head, and
Yeah.
I'm the guy that
I can
tries
dance
to
with
ruin
any
everything.
banker, lawyer, whatever, any of that, and you
Yeah.
scare them. So we can
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Most
I don't
people-
do good in. I can speak bankerese, but she's the one that can charm the shit
Yeah.
out of them. And make no mistake, I'm worth more dead than alive right now. I mean, as far as life insurance required and all that shit. But so do you know how many fucking clowns over the history of time have come up to me because I wrote back when they had magazines.
Yeah.
Case, I wrote the following. I told the story a couple times in old magazines, and hey, check this out, man. They're spin testing some grudge boxes. Let's look out this window.
All right.
Let's look out this window. Yeah. So, we missed it, but that's the test fixture right there. I don't know how much of this will be picked up on audio. On the end there, and they spin it with the drill motor, and they shift through the gears, and their ear is acoustically tuned to pick up any issues, any problems. But anyways,
you gotta tell them about the hot bike article.
the hot bike article of I told the story as I need to tell that.
Yeah.
I need to tell that, but I told the story.
So
yeah.
before we go too far forward, what the market in the late '90s, early '90s? What was there any other real transmissions? I think Jim's maybe the other one, was that around?
Oh, that's interesting. Not many people know the story at all, but so we're in the basement of our house.
Yeah.
I would come home from work, and Lisa would have a production schedule, which was usually 1 or 2 transmissions in the evening that I would have to build. She was off on dependent care leave, so she was outside of the walls of GM, but not divorced from it yet.
So was it due to the kids or some shit, or?
Well, no, I was working at GM all the way up through until January of '99.
Yep.
I don't know. So you're talking before you left? What pulled you out?
No, I was talking about
I just
the fact that you were in the basement when I was at GM. And the bottom line is, in June of '99, we're in the basement of our house. Mm-hmm. I get home from work, and Lisa says, I got a call from this guy named Jim Thiessen. Mm-hmm. And I went, whoa, do you know who that is? He's God. He is God. And he wants to talk to us about a licensing arrangement. Uh-huh. So I call him back, and he says, hey, I need to get to, I saw one of your 6-speeds, and I like it. I need to get to market fast. Can you license it to me? Long story short is we came up with a licensing agreement that was pretty good for us and gave me the confidence to get that first shop up the road.
Yeah.
And so
And leave GM.
and leave
Right.
and leave GM.
Nice.
And so it was in June of '99 that I officially left GM. And we weren't born rich.
Yeah.
I mean, we cashed in all our 401k money, credit cards maxed out, the whole fucking thing to roll the dice on the American dream. We just had an idea.
Yeah.
I had 4 screaming babies at home shitting in their pants, and I had mortgage and a responsibility. Michelle's not really digging that, but I had
She was
responsibility.
shitting in her pants at 7 years old.
Yeah, maybe she was. I shit in my pants sometimes.
You still do.
58.
She's refined. She's
Okay.
raised by me.
Hopefully she advanced beyond me.
Yeah.
But and so we came up with a deal. The relationship with Jim's went a little bit sour. I'll put it on record when Jim saw that. Oh, you came out with a Sportster 6-speed, and I came out with a Sportster 6-speed. He said, I want to license the deal, do a license arrangement with you on that. And I said, well, I'm good now. we were off and running
Yeah.
by then. I'm not interested. And I came out with right side drive 6-speed in '01 and same deal. And so we went our separate ways, but that's just business.
Yeah.
That's just business, and live and learn. And so I don't know if I'm answering any of your questions.
Do you want to go back, though? I think
Yeah.
answering his question, go back before Jim's, was when we came out with the Blurb and Hot Bike. What
Oh,
happened?
okay. So going back to the magazine eras,
And our first 6-speed.
in our first 6-speed, it was in a June '98 hot
Ish.
bike.
His August issue came out in July.
August issue came out in July. It was summer of '98 that Hot Bike used to have a section called Hot News.
Yeah, remember that?
And I had been in contact with Howard Kelly. You heard the name? Big editor, very, very, the most influential editor in the progressive motorcycle scene back in the mid-'90s. The editor, California boy. And he published in this issue, in the Hot News section, Baker Drivetrain. It was at the top of a one-page section. Baker Drivetrain introduces the 6-speed overdrive transmission. And
That's
and-
98.
98. So damn,
98.
you're still almost just under 9 years before Harley's even going to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I'm glad you're documenting all of this because people don't know this, And,
Yeah.
and so those first units were crude,
Yeah, like
but they worked. But they worked. And back then, keep in mind, most of the units we sold were complete assemblies because the Softail was the basis of everything.
yeah.
The Evo Softail was the basis, which is basically a 1936 knuckle, was the basis of everything.
Yeah. So you'd sell like the whole case. And
The whole case.
Yeah.
There wasn't a builder's kit where you slide in the gears. It was the whole fucking thing. And so, where am I going? You got to keep me on track.
What else was in that magazine?
What else was on that one page at the bottom was Custom Chrome introduces their own 6-speed.
Oh shit.
And that's
didn't even
what,
know
That's what he said. Oh, shit.
that's what I said. I said, fuck me running.
We had 50 sets of everything, about ready to start making them,
Yep.
try to sell them, and then this big company.
And keep in mind, Custom Chrome was God.
Yeah, I remember.
In the mid-'90s. They were everything. Drag Specialties was nothing. I mean, Drag is the monster today.
Yeah.
They are the monster, and they run the woods. But back then, Custom Chrome was everything. Well, sure as shit, they had developed in Korea a 6-speed overdrive that had nothing. At first, I thought, man, there must be some espionage going on here or something. But only her and I worked there, so there was no espionage. So,
Yeah.
they must have a spy satellite tracking me or something, but no. And so, so I said, that's it, we're cooked. Let's go get a job at Home Depot, Builders Square back then. Let's go get a job, fuck this. She said, no. Once again, the voice of reason. They're going to spend their fat wallets educating people on why they need a 6-speed, because a lot of people were naysayers back then.
Yeah.
A lot of people had a 4-speed mentality. Well, why the fuck do I need a 6-speed transmission on my motorbike?
Yeah.
They didn't get it, but on the highway you get it.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money for that kind of marketing.
Keep in mind, a 4-color ad in a fucking big name magazine is like $10,000 an issue or something stupid.
Yep.
Stupid money. And we didn't have that kind of
Yeah,
money.
imagine what it's like whenever we have this much these days, where we have this much tracking on all of our
Yes.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Devices?
Like we have analytics now that tells us.
Oh, yes.
What the percentage are women, men, the cities, and all this shit, and like we're like struggling to get like advertisement money these days. It's like, all right, man. I remember because I've had a big company before, a big small company, but where we have taken a page out in a magazine.
Yes.
And it's almost like a rites to passage though. Like when you feel like when your business finally has its own ad in a magazine and you paid that $5,000 to $10,000 for that month, you're like, dude, we're fucking legit now.
Actually, he has like a wall-size copy of our very first ad that we created on his wall in his shop that we used to put in our booth for a while when we went to shows. It's the same. Like,
to create
our ad.
legitimacy.
Yeah, there's our ad.
I wanted
but it was perfect. Custom Chrome having a 6-speed was perfect because they educated the public on their dime
with 4-color ads that they can afford.
They told us exactly where to price ours because it had to be the same as theirs. There was no question about that. And then down the road, theirs didn't fare so well.
They had the biggest recall in transmission history. I mean, I remember talking to Jesse James, and he hopped off of one that had just snapped on him at 50 miles an hour in Long Beach, and he said, "Hey, I'm just going to use yours from now on." And I said, "Cool." And so
they educated the public why you needed one, and then theirs didn't work, and ours was there, so it was perfect.
And so the story played out nicely, but it is a story, and I'm really glad you're capturing all this rich history because it is relevant.
That's a good point because that's exactly how it is for like the podcast spectrum.
Okay,
it's a new form of media.
Yes, it is
that a lot of people don't know about, and we're on the end of our second year.
Yeah.
And as more people get on board, it helps spread the message. And since we've already got a little bit of ground running, we have so much of a backlog of episodes, it gives people a chance to also find us through other people's efforts of starting to do a podcast.
Very cool.
But, the thing about the podcast spectrum is that it's not something that, like, we discourage people to do. Like, Baker wants to do their own podcast.
Yeah.
It's kind of like possibly going to be a new form of another extension of your social network for your brands going forward. I think within the next 10 years to where, how everybody's peeling so many layers back of their business to show like the inner workings of it. Kind of like your transmissions down there with your gears running in it.
Yeah, right.
So, and it's just kind of like the new way of marketing that's kind of emerging, and I've said a lot of times on this podcast that it's real weird. Like my daughter, she's 18. She's grown up with, first thing was like a little bit of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all this other shit now. But I remember the first time I got on MySpace,
Don't worry about it. By the time everybody but
Fortnite
and by the time you figure it out, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
So just don't worry about it.
That's cool.
But I think about it, like the moment the internet became a part of just our culture, we all started filling out online profiles of some kind of form, right? And what I think is kind of done is it's all made us somewhat of a marketer because, when you're filling out an online profile, you're trying to talk yourself up. You're trying to find the best picture. Right. You're trying to find the best way to sum up your personality, who you are, in the shortest way possible so you seem like you did it all cool, it's all marketing.
That's
now.
why I don't do that. I don't do Facebook. I don't do
Facebook's gone, so you're good. You're good there. But Instagram is kind of a weird one, man. It's like it's getting kind of shitty, but it's still on path for a really good way to share messages and meet people and things like that.
Yeah, it's like modern day magazine the way I look at it. It's the magazine with all the pictures, and everything. And you see like a hashtag. Hashtag's just how you search for a picture. If you want to see because it's like you can't put
Steve's balls hashtag. Steve's balls.
Yeah,
but it's like putting words to pictures. So then it's like we want to see choppers. So you can find out everybody has choppers or our new bikes have performance baggers or anybody that puts in Baker stuff. And
I'm such a fucking dinosaur.
You're supposed to just design stuff. Let everybody else worry about the rest.
I can see into the future as far as the need. for transmission and transmission related products. One thing that became evident to me that I do view myself as a mechanical artist, and and the transmission had been relegated to this low position in the pecking order of like an alternator or some kind of
was it not like
appliance.
It's like a necessity buy, not necessarily I'm stoked to buy this thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like a mattress for your house.
I'm hoping this won't break. Now that I'm upgrading.
That's right. I the one thing about when we started in the late '90s, the one thing is we that was the chopper days, and it allowed me to. We were selling complete units, and it allowed me to celebrate and develop the transmission as an art form. And so, I like my transmission, whether it's a builder's kit or complete unit, to look fucking sexy.
Yeah.
To look like a root style blower, which in my mind is an iconic look.
Just that.
I got the torque box tattooed on my one of my shoulders here because I believe it's beautiful. It's mechanical artwork, and you can see the history of that to this day in the grudge boxes that they're building downstairs right now. I try to celebrate it with gussets, and to use the fact that there's a bolt there, you need to accentuate that with a gusset and a feature around it.
You're taking something that's internal, and the parts that are external, you're trying to make it look like something special. Yes. Like it's part of the chopper that was built that needed, the motor to look just as good as the outside of the bike.
That's right. That's right. To make it look mechanically interesting. I'm the freak. We went into a local store to buy some new shoes for Lisa, and they have this big old fan, one of those industrial fans that has like a 20-foot. I
think they're called big ass fans.
Yeah, they are. That's the brand.
The name of the company.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah, right. Big ass fans, and that's what they had there, and it was making some gear noise. So I just sat there and looked at the motherfucker. I'm that weirdo that, and the shoe salesman said, "Huh, that's funny. We find that adults never ever notice that fan's up there. It's only children, but you're different." And anyways,
ding ding ding,
ding ding ding, mirror. So I don't know. I have very popcorn brain, so you have to get me back on track.
No, that's
what we
good.
need to talk about.
So around this time, like you said at the beginning, you had the Harleys were hard to get a hold of.
Yes,
and which is a big part of what emerged the chopper culture.
Yeah,
of like we were talking about before the mics came on.
Yeah.
So knowing also that that's when other manufacturers like Big Dog with this transmission behind me, Iron Horse, probably Bourget, and just down the line, BMC, all these things. Was that another opportunity for you to be able to put your transmissions in people's hands that are in manufacturing standpoints?
Very, very, very good, very good point. We got approached by Nick Messer in 02, 03.
Maybe sooner, because we started going in them in 02, 03 with our regular
stuff, and then we launched their proprietary primary transmission setup in 05. And yes, very much so. It was much like that 4-color full-page ad.
Yeah.
The fact that we designed, with their engineering, a proprietary, specific to Big Dog only, right side drive primary and transmission setup, in my mind, gave us legitimacy.
If I could stop you real quick.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in that era, I was always understood that the right side drive transmission was the cream of the crop.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But then nowadays you hear people kind of say that maybe it wasn't, like they don't want that, or they want the...
It doesn't really fit today's motorcycle architecture. If you study the layout a plan view layout of a chassis of a motorcycle, American-based motorcycle, you'll see that at about when the rear tire gets to be about a 230, which was at one time in the chopper days, the Avon 230 was the king of the hill. Then the Metzler 240 came out. Then the Metz, it
went crazy.
And then the tire wars came out. And then there was a 260, 270, I don't know. And then
a 360.
And then the weirdos at the end of some
Eventually
weird.
you're like, all right, that's too big.
Yeah, right. Well, when you study what happens, you have to offset the whole primary on a left side drive configuration. You have to offset that whole primary out so far, you're riding down the road like this.
Yeah.
Your body English has to compensate for that mass being out there. That's the one thing that right side drive did, which it doesn't fit anymore in today's, because we're not playing. People realize that there's a limit.
Yeah.
And it's about in the 200 to 220 in my mind.
Yeah.
A practical limit of regardless of left side drive or right side drive, a 220, maybe 240 at the most is as wide as you want to get. The right side drive was a solution for the 230 plus offset. It brings everything back in line such that you don't have to compensate the body.
You balance the bike. You had to have it to balance the bike.
So it makes sense because the way a sport bikes were when I used to, before I can afford a Harley. We also did those big fat tires on those. So, So what would happen was, but the way the transmission was different on a sport bike motor.
That's right.
So you can make a jack shaft to come out a little bit, or you can make an extended sprocket. And then if it got too far, you can just make a jack shaft onto the swing arm. Which was kind of shitty. But
it's kind of agricultural type, shit.
It's like that fan.
Big ass fan.
Yeah, so that completely makes sense now with with moving the right side out and because the Harley or the V-twin style has the outer primary, which is this, and then the gear is always inside the primary, not outside the primary.
That's right.
So you would have to move the primary as well outside of the wheel size.
The architecture of the drivetrain, if you will, pushes you in that direction.
So there was such a demand for that you had to become able to make that type of shit, is what I'm kind of...
The right side drive stuff?
Yeah.
Well, some credit me with coming out with right side drive in 2001, which is not true. A guy named Alan Sputhe. Sputhe is an old name, Sputhe. He's passed on, but he came out with it, I think, in the early 90s or something. It was his work was first seen on the Confederate motorcycle.
I remember those.
Have you ever seen it? And so, but I was the first one to make it commercially available, meaning all the existing starter stuff fit, all the existing primary stuff fit. It wasn't a huge tear up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And who do we have here? What the fuck's going on here? Man, you're a long way from home, bitch.
Rusty from fucking D&D.
What are y'all doing?
What's up, man? Dude, I played a trick on you, man. He was over south of Grand Rapids in Plainville, whatever the fuck. And I said, no way. He said, I want to stop by Thursday and check you out. And because he'd never been up here, I said, well, I just happened to be talking to a little feller named Chase and his sidekick, Big Ball Steve. And what's up, man? What's up?
Man, how you doing?
Here,
Good.
Share that microphone.
He needs to be by my microphone. No, you sit down.
Well, I need to have a microphone.
Come on over here.
I don't know.
Come on
Stories
over
are coming out.
Stories, man.
Listen.
No.
This is good
So the whole this is Rusty Studer.
Dude, I rode through Illinois. What part of Illinois did you grow up in? I remember you saying
I didn't grow up in Illinois.
Iowa?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. I forgot.
Started with a
Same
I.
too.
Easy to confuse it.
He's a Texas motherfucker right now, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you that. He's Texas through and through. You know, the funny, so you guys, your shop is about 40 miles apart or something like
40,
that?
50 miles. His new, for lack of a better term, his new Mount Caramel kind of Waco facility he's building for all his.
Right.
It's a
compound.
I like to call it. It's more like a what's the word? A cult.
Ranch. Oh, a cult.
A cult branch.
Oh, yeah, Jim Jones.
Hell
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll call you Father
He's
Rusty.
Apparently the way the cults work though is Rusty has to bang everybody's wife. So, we'll see how.
Really? Are you
how all
busy
of
with
them
that? Are you on that? Okay. No.
I'm still getting them in.
Okay. You're still tagging them and bagging them.
See, and now you wonder why I wanted to give my microphone to him and excuse myself to the restroom.
No. But you're the straight man here. You're the straight man. You
Yeah,
got
but
to
I'm
keep
gonna go to
us
the
straight.
bathroom.
You're going to go to the
You guys
bathroom
can
now.
be
That's how
filthy-
straight
you guys
you
can
are.
be filthy men for a while.
Okay, we'll do some filthy men talk
Sorry, Michelle.
and
Yeah.
shit. And but the right side drive shit I developed because there was a need because of the tire wars.
Yeah.
And
One of the other things that was that I heard growing up, and it's through like talking to different manufacturers, is just like the complexities of dealing with patents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How was it with you guys with the transmission and
Yeah.
Harley and all that type of shit?
I've been sent love letters from Harley.
Okay.
They're not fun. You don't want to get love letters from Harley.
Yeah.
Because their legal staff is infinite.
Yeah.
And so we choose to play well with Harley, and it's worked for us. Way back in the day, I got some love letters, and you learn how to behave.
Yeah.
And but relative to other people, I have very few patents.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to innovate aggressively
Yeah.
to stay ahead of the competition rather than sit around on my
One
patents
product, yeah.
and litigate. First off, and probably foremost, is I'm an engineer and I love to design new shit. So I tell Lisa, we don't need to get a patent on that, because secretly inside I want to design some new shit. I think
Yeah.
that's fun.
That's a good way to keep yourself on your toes. I mean,
it is.
I say the same thing for, as a painter, I hear a lot of other painters when I bring them on the podcast or just talking with them in the garage or whatever.
Yeah.
It's second nature to complain when you create something and you feel like it inspires other people to create something similar.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe for Rusty, it's probably different when you're making an exhaust for a brand or for a motor, and now you're trying to manufacture this, and then someone comes out with something 10% off of the
that's
design.
whatever the rule is. I'm flattered.
Yeah.
I've had people copy my shit. I've had the motor company come out with stuff like our +1 oil pan and shit for the baggers and all that shit. They come out with one in the Screaming Eagle catalog. I don't get pissed. I'm fucking flattered because I'm just a fucking hillbilly out in the woods designing a few fucking things,
Yeah.
And and if they want to emulate or take any design cues from me, I'm fucking flattered, man, because Harley's a monster. They are our mother.
Yeah.
To all of us, Harley is our mother, and I love them.
Yeah.
Without them, I do not have a, what do you call it in the art? You have a palette? No. I don't have a canvas,
yeah.
to paint on. Without them, I do not. Rusty doesn't have a canvas to paint on. We're all painters, metaphorically speaking,
It's really cool. That's a good point you said, because one brand could make something so popular that it fuels such an industry in a lot of directions, from a transmission designer to an exhaust guy to a painter to Steve, doing videos and creating this more grassroots connection to Harleys that we don't have magazines to spread that news anymore. So
we have Jace, thank God, man. No, I'm
Balls over here.
This is in Ballsworth over there. Is that what we're gonna call him, Steve Ballsworth?
I hope that fucking name don't stick.
I'll make that happen, Rusty just said.
But yeah, I mean, so after when the big tire choppers were coming out, what about seeing you told us about your relationship with Indian Larry and a lot of the chopper stardom that was taking place in that time. What was it like for you? Because I know I've seen some of the pictures hanging up. I know you were around. I know you were at the parties and the events. What was that scene like for you?
Oh man, cocaine hookers. No, man, it wasn't that. It wasn't that.
Welcome back, Lisa.
And no, Indian Larry, for example, was actually straight sober, man. Straight sober cat. You know, he had done all of that.
Yeah.
He'd served time in New York. He went to Sing Sing, and all that shit for real, and so he was done with all of that. That's one thing that made him such a beautiful human being is if you were into all that shit, that's fine with him. If you weren't, that's fine with him. He was just a beautiful human being, and it's just too bad that he's not around anymore. But I myself was I'm just the transmission guy. I wasn't a rock star like them, I was just the lowly transmission guy, and I always viewed it as such because that's what we learned at General Motors, is you're a supplier to the industry. Now, this industry has a way of puffing people up and making them rock stars,
Oh, yeah.
And it's something, that I never saw, but like a few brilliant people like Jesse James were just brilliant in the marketing of themselves and their empires,
Well, it's kind of, I would say.
Let's talk about Bill Dodge for a minute.
Dude.
That's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the latest on his medical condition?
I heard that he's, I think Boosted Brad actually posted something or reposted something about he's having a hard time, but he's also being very stubborn.
Okay,
right,
that's Bill.
Yeah,
that's Bill.
So he's not really allowing much of the things to take place for the doctors to get to him. I couldn't imagine being strapped to a bed and.
Oh, is he strapped down?
I think so.
Oh yeah, because his brain isn't working
that, and
exactly
I think he has some vertebrae fracture.
Oh, they got to keep him kind of isolated.
Yeah, and he's trying to get up and move, and it could,
I mean. Know. And when we talk about the rock star days, it's really, I think about Jesse, I think about Bill Dodge. Mm-hmm. They are real deal, alive today rock stars, mm-hmm. and they've lived it. But as you know, Bill Dodge is a very humble.
I've actually never met him. I'm a fan of the bikes that he still currently builds. And I'm a fan of his of how he like the Tennessee Motorcycle Revival, the show that he puts down in Daytona. Like I'm as I've done some of this podcast shit over the last couple of years, I've grown to really appreciate the people in the industry that create things for us to go to.
Yes. Yeah, he is one. He is one. He has a strong presence and a strong voice, and he knows how to do the deal. Mm-hmm. He knows how to be a carny because, Rusty over there, whether he likes it or not, he's a fucking carny.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a carny.
Yeah.
Lisa and Michelle, they're carny. Unfortunately for you, Jace, you're a carny.
Yeah, I'm down.
And
I like going to Rusty's booth everywhere he goes because he's got a nice cold margarita machine for us.
He's got a fancy little margarita machine,
and he finds all the nice talent in town to come put shirts on.
He does.
Got the eye candy.
He's a recruiter, and so in Ballsworth over there, man, he's a carny, but we are carnies, and I like the lifestyle. I like the lifestyle.
Yeah, about the lifestyle, it's finding new ways to get people to try out the lifestyle. Because I feel like in the last couple of years, like the rallies never stopped, but the growth from younger people not coming to those, it's like Sturgis. I get this all the time. Younger guys they see Sturgis as like maybe from Texas as an example.
It's a long haul.
They would go to Rot Rally, which is not a good representation of an actual motorcycle event.
Isn't that like just titties and beer and shit?
Yeah, but not good titties.
Yeah. Pardon me?
It's a golf cart rally.
It's a golf cart rally.
Really? Yeah. It's a motorcycle rally where people parade on golf carts? You're shitting me.
No, it's golf carts.
Oh my God, the end is near, man.
We've been
Oh my God.
So if you're from Texas
golf cart and
you go to Rot Rally and you go pay the $90 to get into the gates, And there's bikes there everywhere. But
Yeah.
more people start fixing up their golf carts because they want to do what they call the nude mile, which is like everybody lines up the golf carts and they just get around. Some people ride bikes, but I mean, you're fucking barely moving. Bikes are hot. And don't get me wrong, like there's a lot of nudity and it's interesting and it's fun to watch. But then there's also a lot of it's still fun to watch because there's like, oh, I put my clothes back on type of vibe.
Right. Don't you have mirrors at your house?
I mean,
right?
do you
There's
know
all that.
how many 85-year-old women I've seen with their tits pointing at the ground?
Yeah, and
I would be a zillionaire if I had a nickel for a divining rod looking.
Yeah,
Here you go again. My mom's 85 and I'm a visual person.
Picturing your mom with her tits pointed at the ground. No.
So
Ellsworth, man, you got to get involved here, man.
So
No, we had a kind of event like that. I've been to in Michigan, the Fowlerville one.
Yeah.
It's
Fowler,
about
Tucky.
the same thing where it feels like it's a golf cart rally. You're like, it's a motorcycle event, but it's like, I guess more just the party side of it.
It's more of the party side, and that's the neat thing about Sturgis is it's not so much that, correct?
So
it's
what I'm
more
saying,
about the celebration of the motorcycle, right?
Sturgis is everything.
And the riding.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal.
So I would say, like, for the people that are in Texas and their first attempt at a motorcycle rally is Rot Rally.
Yeah.
And then anything else in America that has rally at the end, they associate it as the same thing. So a lot of people might think Sturgis is like the grand finale of all of it, you know, when all the rallies come together and it's a shit show. But realistically, it is literally the most amazing event that we're fortunate to have every year to push ourselves as builders and creators, to fucking ride, to see other people from all over. You know what I mean? It's such a great thing. But you got to find a way to inspire kids to want to go.
You know, your point is exactly valid, and I'll give you a little history that will hopefully help us plot the future, maybe. I don't know, and it's not up to us. It's up to everybody out there, but when we got, we were sprung on the scene in 98, 99, like I talked. The big fucking deal back in the day was the Camel Roadhouse. And I don't know if you remember or know this, but I'm going on record to tell you this is history. That's back when cigarette money could throw money into something like NASCAR. The cigarette money grew NASCAR to a monster. That's just the fact.
It used to be the Winston Cup.
It used to be the Winston Cup. And the cigarette money grew the Camel Roadhouse, which went from in various forms to maybe 03 or 2 or something like that.
Right. It went for a while.
But
4 or 5 years or something. But they went to every rally.
They went to
and
every
took the
rally.
biggest builders.
And it was, in my mind, the epicenter of a rally, because what they would do is they would take 4 prominent builders. Jesse, Dave Pirowitz, who's a fucking, you ever met Dave? I mean, if you haven't met him, meet him. He's a stitch, man. Him and his Brockton, Massachusetts accent, he can say the most regular shit. They'd have Jesse, Dave Pirowitz, Eddie Trotta, Donnie Smith, showcased, and they would build a bike that would go on tour, be on tour for that season. And then, you would get to talk to the builder about his bike and what he did and stuff. And that was, in my mind, the epicenter of Daytona, the epicenter of Sturgis, the epicenter of, what's that goat fuck up in northern Massachusetts, or Laconia, that one. And it's a goat fuck.
Yeah.
And I like it up there.
And so it was the epicenter of all of these events, and that has changed. You no longer have that rock star thing.
And I talk about this a lot because when I got into the industry, just wet sanding and shit like that, I see these names and they're, working in the shop I worked on, everybody's like, man, you see that new one from Billy Lane or blah, blah, blah. Because the Easy Riders were like part of our culture every day. Like when it came out, we were all flipping around the magazine.
That's right.
But now, and I'm not saying but now, like, oh, woe is us now. Like we
No, it's just changed.
To me, it's really crazy that the most popular people in our industry are like t-shirt makers and brands that are like more lifestyle brands, because builders, seem to have like reclused back into their garages and just want to like make shit.
Like
and
Billy,
like you said, you're not really a social media guy, so you're not.
Yeah.
You have to be that now, and most people weren't that back then. They were the social media guy when they got to the rally because that's where the media was.
Right.
You know?
They were the media.
So like being the social media guy at home with your kids, with your wife, dealing with daily problems, it kind of takes away your head from working on the project or being creative because now you're trying to be creative about how do I show this creatively that I'm creating this thing. It's like
you're passionate about this shit.
It's like the instant gratification that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like,
is that the negative?
You come out with a new T-shirt design, you can have that, and then people see it as how it is today.
Sure.
But if you're building a new bike, it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Like, whatever. It's like
pain and agony and sweat.
You can't even paint a bike one day. So so many people were on like a social media term. So
the
it's
instant
like,
gratification
it's like,
trip.
what's new? What's different? What's different? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like when we're stuck in your phone, you're just like, what changed?
It's a catch-22 because everything is so much easier now to get your product or your message across the world. But it's also like it hits you so quick. You're like, all right, what's next? I'm fucking bored now.
Dude,
you know?
This is so much fun to me. It's like you came from another planet or I came from another planet, and I'm telling you the way it was back in the day, which is
right.
And if you don't know much about it, then your listeners don't know much.
Exactly.
But that's the way it was. Is you had rock stars that were part of the landscape at the events, right, Lisa?
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was that way.
It was crazy. This is a conference room right here, right now, but back in the Rockstar days, it was a pool hall. We had a pool table here.
That's true. There was a step there with like black and white tile, and there was a stripper pole.
Right here.
We didn't
Fact.
really have strippers on. I don't think.
No.
No walls. No, not when I was here anyway. But no walls. Like
It had a rail,
like a loft up
and,
here.
and in 03, Billy Lane came here to play pool with us, right? I mean, back, great Billy Lane. Talk about a rock star, man, but then here we are in corporate hell right here with a fucking conference table.
it's hell to burn to have a conference room.
Yeah.
I get it. It's no, I like that aspect, man. I was telling you I did the remodel in my shop,
We had to grow up.
and I was trying to make it like that man cave feel, but also I can get work done there.
Yeah,
and
split the balance.
It is, you build this area and you want people to come there and just feel the passion for motorcycles or whatever.
Yes.
And I missed that part. Even though I didn't experience it, I saw it enough on Motorcycle Mania, the TV shows, magazines. I've heard enough stories where I'm like, fuck, man, like that seemed tough but simple in a sense.
It was. It was simpler. It was simpler. Life has gotten a lot more complicated, but
you know what's the other thing I don't know is like how, I know that in the later part of the chopper movement, things became more cutthroat. Because there's a lot more money involved in things.
Yes.
Those kind of originators, those kind of guys that were really helping shape the early movement of that chopper boom in the early 2000s, late 90s. Yeah. It seems like either the shows, the TV shows and the Easy Rider shows really did a good job of making these guys all look like friends. Okay. But they were.
They were.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's too small. It's too small. You got to remain friends with people, and we all have the common interest in mind. And I'd like to propose we take a break and for a minute, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Can we get back to it afterwards? Yeah. And then let's go look at Rusty's new toy out back.
Let's go do it.
Yeah.
But
the FXR thing you're talking about?
But I think I'll pick that up 2 weeks from now when I go to Tennessee.
What FXR thing?
Rusty's a freak, man. He's a straight up freak.
Hey, nothing.
You got a line on the Shovelhead FXR, you said?
Better not be an 82. You better not be an 82.
Did you have one? You sold it?
No, I had a 94, and it was just not very. There was nothing special about it to where I wanted to dump $20,000 into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it was an 82, that's my birth year, I would have loved that. Or if it was an 83 RT, that's a special year.
Oh yeah.
A Liberty bike or a fucking
RT.
a lowrider anniversary bike. Some of those things they have more.
That's a gangster bike from hell, right there.
Yeah.
It's
RT.
It's only a one owner, 82.
Is it?
There we go.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. So, thank you.
But yeah, so man.
I'd like to, when you crank up the audio here, I'd like to just theoretically explore the idea of a utopian progressive rally with no golf carts involved or something.
Well, we're rolling again, so.
Okay, we are rolling.
Yeah.
Of course, man. You're sneaky like that. You're very sneaky like that. But you were talking outside, and I've told you a little bit about the landscape of what the rallies were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then the thing I like about current times is that there are no rock stars. The people involved are the rock stars in my mind.
It is.
Those involved. That there's no either appointed or self-appointed rock stars out there anymore. It's just, let's ride.
So a good way to look at that is and this is using another analogy to create this one.
Yeah.
It's like a rising tide. It floats all the ships. So instead of nowadays, with everybody and especially like us all being connected, as our popularity rises, like mine rises, so does everybody that's with me that supports me and I support them. So we all rise. So there's not really there's always going to be one dude might have a little bit more of a fame or a little bit more of much more of an attention getter.
Yeah, sure.
But
always.
I don't know if we'll ever see another Jesse James or Billy Lane or Indian Larry.
Larger than life.
Those people are out there, but they are not on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the difference, because it's like the people that talk the most do the least.
Yeah.
So the people that are like Jesse, that can do the shit.
The doers.
He's quiet. That dude's quiet, working in his garage, building the shit that nobody knows about, except about six other people.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So think about it like this. So there are those guys out there, but before there was other forms of people to discover them. There was magazines. There was the Camel stuff that
Camel Roadhouse.
I want to talk about that too in a minute. Just the influx of corporation money coming into our industry. But so you have magazines. You had TV shows. You had Easy Riders toured almost every major city in America.
Yes.
Right. So it brought out people from the woodworks. Now. The only way to get discovered is to be on social media in some form or fashion. Or go to one of the main events in America, like a Born Free or Sturgis or, Daytona, those kind of places.
Yeah, we do attend Born Free, and that's a really freaky scene out there, for just a day or two.
Yeah.
And but outside we were talking, you and Rusty have been kicking around some idea of a potential event down there. I'm going to interview you.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me what that's all about, if you can? I mean, what's your idea of a utopian, true rally, not a fucking golf cart rally?
Well, for me at least, it's just about progressing a lot of different aspects of the motorcycle culture, from giving a place for industry like builders and talented painters and everybody to shine.
Showcase.
But it's also about the people that attend it having a great experience and helping pack in that love for motorcycles so that it can't, be shed from them. You know what I mean? So
that's right. That's right.
And with today's culture, sometimes I think that just by coming on here and talking about the heyday and listening to Yaffe talk about his job at Easy Rider used to be to weigh titties. That's not really a part of our culture anymore. I mean,
no, it's a sideline.
Camera phones fuck that up.
Yeah, right.
That's a good point.
Right.
But I mean, so to find that biker culture that we all, and I think Born Free does a good job in tapping into. Sorry for my language, but I saw a chick's butthole last year. I was there.
But you know what? I've seen all of that, man. I've seen all of that, and it's like, what? I got one of those. Mine might not be as pretty as yours, but
I'm just trying to visually picture now again how someone's actually showing their butthole. That's a lot going on.
There's a video.
There's a
I don't need to
Camera
see.
phones.
you know, and it's stuff that's like just flash shit, you know. But I like the idea of showcasing the talents of people, especially the unknown, because I was unknown at one point, and I worked hard to to promote the company,
exactly.
and I would like to help those that have ideas.
Yeah, you want to pay it forward, and that's the same
pay
thing.
it forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank
like with
you. Yeah.
you know, not that I'm definitely this podcast is done well. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but same thing. It's about finding people doing rad shit and showing a little bit of light on it. That's why last night we have Rock Cycles on here and you. And then the next day we have you, which with all this rich history in this motorcycle culture. So it's like, I think for some of the guests that I've had on here, they're probably pretty blown away by the fact that they might be sandwiched between two legends in the motorcycle industry. Yeah. And they're just some dude that rides a bike across country.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
And so,
and that's beautiful to me.
Yeah, you try to shine it, but the other thing that, maybe I don't want to open up a can of worms too much, but I feel like these days that we're, talking back on all of us being bred to market and to promote ourselves.
Yes.
That we're all in this chase for that dopamine hit of being liked, being shared, being relevant.
Yeah,
we
being
forget
relevant.
We forget to shine a little bit of light on our friends.
And help out, because I have no regrets for leaving General Motors, 20 something years ago, right? And I love, because I love this. This culture is so rich and so delicious and so much fun. And you got to understand, the doctors and lawyers and accountants, and they rely on us for their good time on that weekend. Yeah. And so, like I said, we Rusty, you and I are carnies, and they are, your margarita machine is legendary, and at your booth, but people go back to the office around the coffee pot on Monday morning and tell stories to to Plain Jane and Joe Blow, about this margarita machine, and it just blows them away. And so I'm not sure where I'm going with this. I'm just going blah blah blah. But
no, I get it, man. It's
we're in charge of their fun, and so when you were talking about a potential new event down in Texas with Rusty outside, on smoke break, I thought, I wanted to know more.
So
about that,
it's just something that Rusty's kicked at me, and I've been looking for ways of bringing a lot of attention towards our neck of the woods in Dallas and the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
A lot going on there.
But at the same time, I'm a like you said about yourself with your transmissions. Yep. I'm a nervous wreck when it comes to thinking about other people's fun, because I'm a natural host of things to where I always, hey man, you having a good time? You having a good time?
Yeah. Everybody good? You need a drink? Yeah.
So, and I genuinely get off on other people having a stoked experience doing things. So, when I think about a show, like I might overthink things too much, because I look at everything in my life as I only have one chance. It's straight Eminem shit. I got one shot.
Yep. He's one of our local boys.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's way harder to in my opinion to fix a first impression than just have a good first impression.
Yeah,
so,
right.
If we put something on, I mean, some things that are out of our control would definitely be forgiven by most people. But if it was just a basically lame ass event, then
it's lame ass event.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna put the screws to you. Are you talking about having this any specific time in the future?
We just been
kicking it
back and forth. Yeah.
Would it be a spring event? What?
The world ended this year. So
I heard.
Got put back a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, what actually made me think about it is because the event that I normally go to, in Galveston, is actually got canceled this year. So I'm like, I'll have my own Lone Star event.
Okay, I got you.
So
that's
what I was thinking.
That's the impetus for this whole thing.
I only do 3 events a year. I do Sturgis, Daytona, in the spring, and then Galveston, Texas. That's the only ones that I do. So
I got you.
Since how they canceled Galveston, I'm like, you know what? I have a place to do this.
Yes.
I have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I get some people together and I have an event here.
Yeah.
I got you.
That's what I was thinking about, and I've been building my whole property to
accommodate that.
Well, not just to accommodate that. I'm actually working towards having a school for besides the cult. that's later on down the road. I'm actually
Jim Jones
trying to teach veterans how to work on motorcycles.
I like that.
And then have a place for them to stay. I'm
altruistic.
I'm building all kinds of shit out there. When you come down, you'll see. But
okay. So you have a love for veterans of this country.
Yeah,
because they make it such that you and I can fuck off and do what we're doing, Rusty.
Yeah, and I was one. So.
And you were which force did you?
Marine Corps.
Okay, you're a badass Marine. That's a badass Marine. I know some Marines.
So I have, that was the whole idea. I know what I did to deal with the things that I did in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
But I had a skill before I went in. I knew what I was going to do when I got out.
I got
so there's a lot of people that get out that do the same shit that I did.
Yeah.
That don't know which way to turn when they get to the gate. They have no focus. They have no skills. They have nothing.
I feel for them.
What gets me by is working all the time. That's what I do. So I build shit.
Okay.
I have the ability to build things. And I work all the time.
Yeah. That is your life. Life is work, and work is life.
So that my deal was I was going to try to give that to somebody else, because there's a lot of people, and I learned this from the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
A lot of people that are with they didn't have somebody that taught them how to
an opportunity.
Something. They didn't have a place that they could go and learn how to work on things. They didn't have a dad that they had to build everything. They didn't have the skills or the desire or the need, because we didn't have anything to build what we had. So they didn't have that. So I was going to give them an opportunity to, if I didn't have that spark, if I didn't have those people in my life that showed me those things, I wouldn't have known where to go when I got to the.
Sure, it's a big world. It's a big world, man.
So exactly to his point, to wrap that into motorcycles, it's the same thing. Like if there's not people out there doing rad shit on bikes, then there's not going to be much of an incentive for people to want to get into motorcycling.
Agreed.
So you kind of need to shine lights on the Steves, and Rusty needs to make it a party when we go buy an exhaust from him at one of those rallies.
Yes.
It creates that experience that you go to, and magazines, for lack of a better term, probably put a sour taste in a lot of corporations' mouths or companies' mouths over the years with just as the magazines decline, the cost to be in a magazine went up.
Yes. And it got bad.
And then, it's the same thing. It's like, back to what you were kind of saying earlier about the, like the Camel putting in money. It never even dawned on me. But yes, Camel, even though we joke as fuck a lot about like the chopper day, the TV chopper shit that was going on with, American Chopper, the money that was coming in from all these different companies helped fuel
helped me,
helped all of us,
of us,
and so
love it or hate it, it was positive, and it raised awareness. It raised awareness, and there's a void right there right now.
And so like what is it the crash of 2008 really helped kill a lot of things, but how do you get the media all those companies to want to start looking into motorcycling again as advertisement venues, not just like me as a podcaster or another dude as a YouTuber, but like
Fortune 500.
Yeah, like how do you reach out to a D&D or a Baker or above or a Christian Newman that builds choppers? How do you reach out and get those corporate sponsored bike builds that helped show or exploit the skills of these guys?
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of some dude pulling his 401k out just to get a bike build done.
Right. Or start a little motorcycle transmission company or something. So,
it's just.
But I'm just interested because in your points and conversation you and Rusty had about a potential new event, because the time is now. And you're right, Rusty. in case you didn't know, the world just changed this year.
Sure.
And so with that, the ashes of the phoenix rises and all that stuff. Now is a time for a change to be implemented.
Yeah. I have the ability to do that because where I'm at, I own all the property. I don't have to get permits. I don't have to talk.
You
to
are
people.
the permits.
Like I can decide whether I want you to be.
You know
at my
what,
place
motherfucker? You are a true fucking Texan, and I'll tell you why, man. Texans, they just think that way. And the one time I was through Texas, like about 10 years ago, Texans are. I can't tell you what the Michigan state flag looks like. I don't know, but I can tell you what the Texas state flag looks like. For sure. Because everybody's flying it down there. Those motherfuckers are proud, and you're one of them, man. And whether you like it or not, right now, Rusty, you're in the driver's seat to do these kind of fundamental progressive changes.
So what I've been trying to or coming to realize, and I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but like guys like Rusty, myself, Steve, and a lot of other people in our industry, we are kind of like the people now that are driving the car or the bus, whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
So
hop on the bus, man.
Yeah,
Come
so
on,
it's
man.
like a level of responsibility comes into play, because if you really do love the culture of motorcycling and where it is, you kind of don't want to be the one that dies under your generation.
Right. So loser. Yeah.
So it's about and it's about paying homage to the rest and understanding what people did. Maybe just like you're supposed to do with parenting, you take the good things your parents did and you leave out the bad things, and then you try to move forward and things progress into a much better, less shitty.
More positive. And,
hopefully.
And so I'm excited about that. But the whole an interesting person to talk to about the history of things. If you ever get the chance to interview Mike Corbin, please do that.
The seat guy.
He is very fucking wise on how the cyclical nature of the economy affects the bike community. And he for example I heard him tell an individual that if you study choppers, Easy Riders choppers, not the magazine, the movie, with the raked out 36 over front end or whatever, and the choppers always peak in popularity at the peak of the economic expansion. And then there's a recession and choppers go away. And then they build back up. Choppers come back, and he understands the macro view on the economy and the popularity of motorcycles. Very wise man.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because to most people, motorcycles are just like a toy.
Yeah. Like a little red wagon or something.
Like a lot of people have them, and we can go and use them for daily driving, but most people have a car, so when you have a motorcycle as like a toy, and and it's like the expendable money, and you make them how you want to, that can change everything. So
sure.
It kind of makes sense with what
the
what
economy
you're with,
thing.
So.
And those are some words from Steve Ballsworth of Grand Rapids.
When the economy gets up, it kind of weeds out the less passionate people in the industry, because it's not like a money grab anymore. And so the other guys have to sit back and rebuild every time. And that's kind of like, like you just said, every time it kind of gets up to a bubble, And I would say it kind of, the big money in motorcycles for the last couple of years has been the big wheel bagger world.
Yeah, right.
And if it hasn't already, that bubble is fucking ready, dude.
Right.
I mean, right now, if you want to be successful in big wheel baggers, you need to be selling stereo equipment. That's the only thing that seems to be moving shit.
It's the same with that demographic of people, the big wheel plus the 8,000 watts of stereo or whatever.
They want a quiet exhaust so it doesn't muffle out their stereo. So
is that true?
It would make sense, wouldn't it?
Actually, they don't. They
Okay.
They come to my booth and then go right down to Roxford Fosgate, or vice versa.
Oh, okay.
When they come from Roxford
Okay.
Fosgate, I got to go back down there and get all the parts that they left off of it, and then
And then you just
back
manufacture only 80 dB pipes, right? Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. Okay.
legal.
EPA compliant.
Yeah, EPA compliant. That's the only thing that I
That's
do.
what I thought. Being a Texan, that you are. That's what I thought. 80 dB is what you're all about. Just have a tattoo across your forehead. 80 dB. What do you got, woman?
More crack.
More crack in cans.
Not
So-
get crack from me.
But you can get crack in cans.
You can.
You can. What? Why are you so nervous? What, you just see buckwheat or something? And what happened? Little rascals
You
come?
can't get me. Want
Can't
something to
get you?
drink?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
I've known you way too long to fall into your lair.
So-
All my tricks.
So Bert, you've been to like plenty of events over the years
Yeah,
and
man.
everything, and you're talking about Rusty's event. Like, what makes a good event in your mind to
Yeah.
you? You know, like
Yeah.
memorable stories and stuff that pops out. And
Memorable stories, but you know, I think,
I'm a fiend.
and I guess I'm speaking in a utopian, you know, sense here, that we had a weird twist of fate happened. Is we used to put on this thing called the Baker Burnout. Was that it? Was that the name of it?
Burnout drags.
Burnout drags, in which two people would roll their bikes up into a wheel chock and fucking, you know, roll the tires. And you, first person to go through all 5 gears or 6 gears, I don't remember how we worked it, won, you know, and advanced to the next level. And we were sitting on an airplane, because that's what bikers, when I go to an event, it's all business. I'm not riding. Last year was the first time that I got to go riding and see Sturgis. I mean, I've been going there 20 years, because when I go to an event, I work. But we're sitting on an airplane going to Sturgis, and we sat next to a guy that was going on and on about the height. How did his story go, Lisa? I mean, the height of his whole Sturgis was this burnout event.
Yeah, he went to that event at the Buffalo Chip.
At the Buffalo Chip. We had it at the Buffalo Chips, and that whole semi-interactive experience was the height of his Sturgis. And I said, "Hi, I'm Bert Baker," you know, and he said, "Oh, I thought you looked familiar." But the point being, an event in which that person, who was probably a CPA or a fucking factory worker, whatever, you know, he had some 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job, he brought those stories home, and it was cool to him and everybody he communicated the story to. So I'm not sure what your question was there, Ballsworth, but
just cool event stuff.
But my idea of a cool event is something in which the person at least is semi-involved, whether they're walking through a plume of tire smoke and there's pandemonium and there's buttholes or whatever. I don't know, you know, just some kind of non-typical story that they take back to the regular world.
Yeah.
That you know, I don't care to see any buttholes or tits pointed at the ground anymore. I've seen it all, but to a lot of people, that's though. Like from outer space. I might look, but that's like some outer space. I might as well have gone to Mars for some people to carry those stories back home. That's what we need to get back in that would, how we do that, the exact mechanism to get people just fired up, man. I want to go to this event because I don't know what's going to happen this time.
Right.
You know, I mean, and that's my, I don't know if I'm answering it.
That's kind of like, so I went to like Horsepower Inc.'s bike night.
Yeah, right.
And it was like fucking burnouts in the street and wheelies.
And the cops were cool
shit ton of
and stuff you
and
said.
then the cops showed up and they were cool as hell.
Yeah.
And they were like, hell yeah, bring this event to us. It's just a bike night.
Right.
But it was a bike
Wednesday night bike night or whatever.
It got out of hand, but it was awesome.
But it was awesome.
But it was like everybody rode there. Freaking everything. People lined up on the side of the streets. Like you never know what's going to happen. We hope nothing bad happens. But
right.
But you're right there in the action.
And that's my idea of a real good event, because guess what? Not everybody works in the motorcycle industry. Most of them don't. Yeah. But we need to show them the fun side and the insane side of our little world that we call normal.
Yeah.
I'd like to showcase the craftsmanship of.
Okay.
Yeah. That's one thing that
in a positive, entertaining way, though. You can't.
Well, of course, I have all the other shit going on.
Yeah.
But right. If we're gonna have an event, there's got to be like just like you said, some people that nobody knows about.
Yes.
That are working in their garage, or they just got a shop,
doing some amazing stuff,
or they just built a really cool bike, and I want to try to showcase that, and then have judges that actually know what the hell they're looking at.
Right.
Not just something that looks cool on Instagram in a picture. Actually, it needs to work. It needs to. I want to showcase like somebody built something really cool.
Even if it's in your own backyard, you want to showcase some motherfucker who took a bunch of Wrigley gum wrappers and welded them together, Heliarc, and made a fucking half a pound exhaust system out of Wrigley gum wrappers.
For sure.
Or, something freak.
And then we're gonna take it and we'll put it on the dyno.
Yeah, that's right.
Then we'll
watch it crack in half.
We'll see who has the best. We'll have a dyno shootout.
Or whatever. Right. No, you're saying positive. You're saying positive here.
I also
throw it on the dyno and see what we got.
And then we put it on the drag strip.
And then let's run a real bike.
And then, I have...
And you happen to have one.
I happen to have one. And then I happen to have a road course.
Yeah.
I don't know
that's
on
about
dirt.
The road course. Oh, okay.
And then we can do a flat track there.
The thing with the mini bikes that Chris Callan is doing is kind of fun, kind of silly.
That's awesome.
It's silly awesome.
Yeah,
it's silly awesome.
For sure.
It's silly awesome. That's just to bring an element of stupidity back into the deal. And so
so if this event does happen and all your listeners are listening right now, I have holes pre-dug. So if anybody gets hurt,
we just throw them in the hole.
Nobody knows where they're at.
Oh, that's the Texas way to do it, man. That's
we're not calling the cops.
No. You own the cops. You own the cops, man. Because that is an element of the biker community. I mean, that whole thing, and so I don't. I like the idea of mentally masturbating an idea of a new event.
Yeah,
this is kind of fun. Mental masturbation is a beautiful thing. Everybody wins, and nobody gets hurt. And so I like the idea of mapping out a new profile of a new event. I do like the idea of corporate sponsorship. Just to ratchet it up.
Yeah. So the one big thing about the 2000s and late 90s and now is that what we said earlier. Every corporation now has to. The public wants to know how they vote. The public wants to know their stance on this, and I don't think that was ever necessarily. I never gave a shit what.
Back in that day.
No, I don't really care how Toyota or how GM or anybody votes politically.
Right. Let's take that out.
Yeah. When they don't align themselves with certain things because now people have put on that stigma of, you're a Democrat or you're a Republican now, so I don't want.
Who the fuck cares?
So that's what I'm saying when it comes to corporations. It's like, if we're all in Sturgis going against the CDC guidelines or whatever the fuck, then any kind of corporation, which Harley didn't sponsor anything for that.
That's right.
They're almost like taking a stance against some things.
Yeah,
and so we're very prideful people when it comes to motorcycles. And,
yes, we are.
And and I think we hold grudges a little bit, maybe.
No, we do. we're bad.
So
we're bad like
you
that.
get to a point where it's like, you know, with the corporations and stuff, it's probably going to be hard to get them to get on board with us, because they're going to expect us to do what everybody in the world expects every company to do now, and is answer for, you know, microaggressions and all this other shit going on, that it's going to be very hard for anybody to navigate in our world.
Well, it's not gonna. It's this. Like I said earlier about the whole new world, like the world ended.
Yes.
Like everybody is so worried right now about getting sued. Like, we're not going to get any corporate sponsors. It's only going to be people. It's going to be a small grassroots style event, and you know, you need to come down in like a 10 by 20 or
a few of us.
Yeah, just like and have it more similar to.
It's exactly what he's saying. It's like instead of getting, you know, Coca-Cola to sponsor this event, which we're bikers, let's be real. Instead of getting Bud Light to sponsor this event, why not just get all the people in the industry that are in the position where they can make the trip or can make the effort? You know, it's not about like I mean, it's his property, I don't know, but I'd be like, look, I want all these brands to come, and I want you guys to bring your audience to it. That way everybody commingles. Right. You know what I mean? So if the Baker family comes down with all the people that fuck with Baker transmissions and Baker Drivetrain, then now they're in Texas, and then the Rusty, you know, the D&D guys are there, and the Fast Life Garage guys are there, and fucking, you know, whoever, all these different companies with their more or less followings that we have now.
Sure.
Brings all the people together. Now you have like literally an event that you know is backed, owned, and operated by the bikers that are there.
Oh, I get it. We can get Pablo Escobar to sponsor it.
Hell yeah.
He's dead. He's dead.
You just want to kind of own it still, because that's another thing about when things become profitable, then other people from other industries start looking at us like dollar signs.
That's happening with Born Free a little bit, right?
Yeah, Born Free was born out of the pure grassroots. I mean, pure, no economic influence from.
It was free.
Yeah. And it was free.
Right.
If the beer was free, like
Is that true?
The first year, everything was free. I don't even think
out at Born Free.
Yeah, they had.
They were into
so much in, right?
Well, they had to end up getting into that canyon. That was a big part they had to rent, and then because the event got so big, security became an event, or security became a deal. You know, getting a liquor license for the park became a deal. So that's why you owning the property, you probably don't have to deal with any of that shit as long as things stay on the property.
So,
got you.
Well, the other thing
I
about
got you.
my deal is if I can give away the alcohol too.
Yeah.
I can also have other venues come in, like food trucks, or but I can have them. They can use it off their liquor license, and they can sell it, and then they just pay me to be there, or not, or I pay them to be there, whatever.
The Wild
whatever.
West.
You know, I can make this I can invite just the people that I want to be there. Okay, y'all come on, and I'll take care of you. You know, I got 20 pallets of Corona. Once it's gone, you can bring your own shit. Or bring your own beer.
You got the coronavirus on pallets. What?
Yeah, dude, we're distributing it.
This is exciting to mentally masturbate in this fashion. No, it is.
Your eyes are closed whenever you say that. But their reaction every time you say that?
Do they wince?
They're starting to.
They're starting to?
Yeah.
So I got to stop saying mental masturbation.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah. I don't. That's right. It's my fucking joint. That's right. My fucking joint.
So, you know, I guess back on like with you guys and your path and stuff.
Yes.
After the you know the chopper craze, and you know you guys are all on the posters partying, and you know what was that transition through the what was it, the meltdown, the 08 meltdown?
Take you through history here.
The 08, 09.
You know, Baker Drivetrain as a company, 08, 09 was awful. Not only did the wheels come off the bus economically, and the monetary system of the world monetary system almost collapsed, and we were almost living in trees. I mean, the whole population of the planet.
Real quick, with all these companies like Big Dog and all these other people you were manufacturing for, with them stopping, I know that you guys probably had to build your manufacturing process to be able to accommodate for that.
Well,
or were you kind of...
Big Dog was 70% of our business at one point, like 2005.
70.
2005. By 2009, they were gone. So it was a struggle for us to take on that growth so big in the mid 2000s, and then to have it go away was just, just like the news.
Yeah.
It was tough.
So 2008, the economy was a problem, but we also lost 70% of our revenue, and we're left holding the bag on that. I mean, we got stuck with a lot of unpaid bills from that customer, and that hurt. It was the witty maneuverings of this woman here, Lisa Baker, that got us through that. I mean, it was a dark, difficult time. But fortunately, we emerged from it realizing that the chopper days were over. You saw a bunch of transmissions on the shipping bench there ready to go out the door. Let's go back 15 years ago. 15 years ago, 90% of the transmissions going out the door were complete assemblies for builds. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to today, 97% of the transmissions going out the door are for people riding Harleys. Mm-hmm. They're not doing ground up construction anymore. So our whole thing had to change to accommodate the guys who ride. The Harley rider, not the builders anymore. And so we fortunately saw the whole bagger movement coming, and I'm not talking 38-inch front tire bagger people. I'm talking people on baggers who ride them. Yeah. Who put miles on them, 20,000 a year, whatever. And so our whole business model has changed to accommodate those people, and people like yourself with a new 131-inch Harley engine. Thank God Harley came out with that, because that means they're going to need a transmission from us. Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to be a little bit of a whore right now and just say it, I mean, the bigger motors put more stress and strain. Yeah. The stock Harley 6-speed is a very, very good transmission for stock engines. It's very good. It's very well done. It's quiet. The gear ratios are good, but you start stepping up the performance, then you got to come see us.
What would you say is probably the threshold for the Harley transmission, power-wise, where you start seeing the most problems?
Yeah. Talking real numbers. When you start seeing 110 foot-pounds of torque, 20 foot-pounds of torque, and keep in mind it's torque that destroys drive lines, not horsepower. Mm-hmm. A 200 horsepower Hayabusa doesn't make a lot of torque, but it is torque that destroys driveline components like transmissions, mm-hmm. like the rear pulley, the belt, belt drive, whatever. And so it's around the 110, 120 foot-pound. If you're up in the 140s, and you like to twist on it, yeah.
That's what's interesting, because for the most part, like a 107 or a 114 with a cam is putting the torque above those numbers, right, Rusty?
With close. One of your pipes, 120-ish. In that ballpark, teens maybe. And
so then it's going to rely on how that individual rides the bike.
That's it. That's the duty cycle of the individual riding the bike, and the Achilles heel of the stock 6-speed is the 3/4 dog clutch, and I got one over there in a box in pieces that I like to play with. And it's like a puzzle to put it back together, but they shatter, and that's just the nature of everything. Everything has an Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. Every design. My transmissions have an Achilles heel. His exhaust have an Achilles heel. It's the nature of things. Your body has an Achilles heel, which might be your back, might be your whatever your
actual Achilles heel.
Your actual Achilles heel. That fucker might break, and so thus the name. And so Yeah, I back to reality and what I do for a living is, I simply, am the go-to for if you start making horsepower, if you start wanting different ratios for different type riding situations, you come to me.
And because you offer like transmissions and you got compensators.
We got compensators, yeah.
Sprockets, chain drive front sprockets. Do you do a rear sprocket at all? Or?
No, we don't. I have all this shit tattooed on my arm. I'm looking at it, clutches.
Find out what else you make?
Yeah, I forgot.
That's the catalog.
Clutches, yeah, that's the catalog on there.
One thing that you have that a lot of people don't know about that I use a lot is the N1 shift drums.
That's kind of interesting to me that you bring that up, Rusty, because I designed the N1 for drag racers back in 03. Well, 17 years ago. And it's still being discovered. And N1, what it is I was sitting around smoking grass one day. Well, maybe not. I don't know. And I thought, why? Who made the decision to put neutral between first and second? Who made this decision?
Yeah.
Back in the day, and I started questioning that. And so I designed a drum that puts neutral down below first. So you got, the beautiful thing about it is when you're rolling up to a stop sign, you just go on your shifter and you're down in neutral. You don't look at your neutral light.
Right.
You're in neutral.
Yeah.
And if you're riding a bike with a jockey shift or hand clutch, it's amazing, because if you've got a foot clutch and you're on the left side of the bike, your left foot's already occupied with the clutch, and it's kind of hard to roll up. But the N1 drum, well put, is still being discovered, Rusty.
That's kind of, it is, sport bikes and everything before. It's like, it just seems like I don't know why I said sport bikes, but just in general, that concept is it makes a lot more sense and would probably be.
It does to me.
You telling me the foot clutch? I'm like, fuck, I've ridden one of those before, and that was probably the sketchiest thing. Is like,
right.
You have to find neutral, especially if you don't have, like my Suicide Springer doesn't have a front brake either.
Okay,
so you only have one rear brake and you have a foot clutch,
and then you got the clutch on the other side. It's like good luck rolling up to it. And then if you're fishing for neutral,
if you don't find neutral,
then
when you come to the stop sign,
you're going to get clocked by a city bus.
So how does that work then? Is that something that you can add into pretty much current day transmissions? Or?
Yep. So what we offer is the N1 option, which is a no cost option on the grudge box.
Cool.
So we offer that. We offer it on older 5-speeds. For older 5-speeds, we offer it for older 4-speeds, and so you can take, and it's a drum. That's the exact component. It's a drum with different tracks in it.
Yeah.
And those different tracks define, the pattern of the shift. Back in the day, I got freaky, and I did like reverse pattern in one 5-speed drums.
So you can get like a GP shift kind of thing?
Instead of upshifting, if you think about it, the ergonomics that you have to do, that's the study of the integration of man and machine. To upshift is not very natural on your ankle if you try to upshift it.
Especially
by spanking it down. By spanking down, you can spank down a lot quicker than you can actuate up.
Yeah.
And so I made reverse pattern stuff in one.
I have some of those too.
Okay. And they're pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Could that be a drop-in type thing? Or
yes, it's drop-in.
I was just saying I didn't know if it changed any of the inner workings.
You don't have to, but that's a very good question, Steve, because people don't know. On the older 5-speeds, you simply
called you
pop
Steve
instead of Ballsworth, and we were getting to know each other. And he started wincing a lot. And on the older 5-speeds, you take the top cover off. You take the 4 bolts off of the pillow blocks on the drum. You put the new one on, put the top cover back on, and go.
Because what I'm thinking is there's a lot of people with baggers doing mid controls nowadays.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they'll run it off where the primary comes with the shifter coming back. I've seen it, and then you have it about right in between the V of the motor.
Okay.
But like I guess like a pillow block,
to reverse it.
To reverse it. But if
Yeah.
you could do like a shift drum, so then you keep that shifter coming back on the primary, because so then you
Correct.
can just have like your solid linkage, but then mid controls and doing that.
I gotta investigate this.
You run it standard shift N1 and run it backwards without the linkage, and then that makes it GP style shifting.
Is that what you call GP is spanking down? Is that what you call
having
it?
the normal shifting what we're doing, but without a reversing block?
That's what I'm saying. Look at my 27 bike. That's how it is.
Yeah.
My shifter is just runs backwards.
So
because that's like a big thing with people doing mid controls, is just trying to figure out if you want the shifter to go through.
I got
shifter
you.
To go up over.
I got
And if you want to reverse it like GP style, or you want to have it still retain it neutral, but if you can change out a drum in that.
But if they do, so when they order, it's very simple. All they do is order a grudge box from him with the reverse style shifting, and then they run their shifter backwards, and it works the same way.
Oh,
you got it.
Then
you got it, Steve.
Or if you do it with the standard style shifting, it just have it run straight back, and then it's GP style.
Yeah.
But always do the N1. That way you don't, regardless of which way that you're going, you can always find neutral.
You're hired, Rusty.
Because that shifter needs to be shorter.
We do.
So to find
We do.
neutral
I mean,
when you have to go in the middle,
really
it's tough.
I mean, Steve.
you heard it here first, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
that's it. No, Steve is immersed in the industry, and we just witnessed the discovery of it, and he's immersed in the industry. What about Joe Blow, who's not immersed in the industry? All of this is an enigma,
It's perfectly logical product. It's easy to install and of great use for people.
Yes.
It's just they don't know it.
They don't know
And
it
that's our
exists.
fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is our fault.
Yeah.
That's why we just hired Rusty as
why I'm
for
here.
marketing. Yeah,
So that's a good point. There's also that learning curve that it takes for a lot of everybody to ride that. Because when we used to ride sport bikes back in the day, you can literally just shift, switch it from bottom to top, and that goes
and
to
you got GP.
So even, knowing that, having neutral at the top or at the bottom of depending on which way you want to go is definitely going to be user friendly. But for those that's been riding for 15 years, 20 years,
they're programmed.
that's going to take a few, rides around the block to get the.
Yeah.
But it does seem a lot, especially, I went through a spot like on my mid controls on my bike. They require a lot of maintenance because they can get binding with the shifting,
the
and it makes it
and all that.
so fucking hard to find neutral sometimes.
Okay, because it's dragging
It's
and
dragging and wants to, and the force you put in it either overshifts it to second or
Pops
backs
it.
it down to first.
I got you.
N1, dude. N1 is all you need.
Yeah.
N1, over the
I didn't
years.
know that was an option on the new.
But that that's our fault. That's our fault. That's not your fault. It's our fault, like Lisa said.
It's easy though when you're in the middle of the forest.
Yeah,
Not
right,
able to see the
right.
tree.
There's the
Us,
tree. There's
yeah.
the squirrel. And we're used to seeing it. But thank you for that little reality check, man. And
You're welcome.
you're hired. Where do I send the first paycheck?
I brought him a Coke.
You did. You
Yeah.
compensate him with a Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Very nice.
So
Very
nice.
nice.
You have
Yep.
transmission internals.
Yep.
You have your compensator, your
Yep.
own version
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
Which I've
Yep.
seen that's been pretty successful.
Yep. Our Gen 2 version
Yep.
is very, very successful.
And then front sprockets, you have your shift drum. What else do you at least for
Yeah.
like newer Harleys?
Yeah. In prototype form, we have a clutch. We're doing a whole clutch. And we're a little bit late to the party on that one, but that's my playground. So that's where I play.
Yeah.
And
As long as you're making it the best you can,
That's it. But the trick is,
the other thing about it, and I don't mean to step over any boundaries, but one thing that I've noticed
There's
with
no
a lot
boundaries here.
of companies that manufacture parts is their process for testing them, right?
Yep.
I've seen so many people make a hard part and then put it on a bike and then just kind of like, oh, it looks like it works great. All right, run it. Run 50 sets. Run 100 sets.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all get them in the actual consumer side of it, and they're all shit. You know what I mean? As opposed to these people starting to look at guys like Steve, who's putting 27,000 miles a year on their bike, or myself, or Rusty, who rides. I mean, fuck, Rusty's one of the the biggest riders that actually own such a huge company in our industry.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's his own fucking test product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of other people, you know, they don't do that. They don't actually have ground people doing the work to find out if the shit works or not.
It's kind of what we did with our grudge box, right?
Well, it goes back to earlier than that. Have you ever, on a Harley, downshifted it into first at 90 miles an hour?
Try not to.
Try not to.
I did it like clockwork. Back in the day, 98, the early part of 98, I used to do destructive testing at General Motors. I know how destructive you need to be to even approach what the end user is going to do to it. You have to think insane.
Yeah.
You have to think insane, like downshifting. If you've downshifted either a car or a motorcycle into first gear at 90 miles an hour, that rear wheel is it's fun, you know. But and then that moment it goes from second to first, pow, inside the transmission. Why? Because it spools up the clutch plates that interface with the basket up to like 11 or 12,000 RPM. And quite often in a car, you have to be careful I need to tell your listeners this, if you downshift into first at 90 miles an hour, it spools up that clutch to 12, 15,000 RPM, and the clutch will explode. That's what happens. It won't hurt you, but you will be walking home after it.
Yeah.
And so, but my point is that I myself did a lot of the destructive testing and continue to do the destructive testing because I don't really care about my own personal safety.
Yeah, so there's two sides of there's two sides of testing though. There's like the user error with stupidity. And then there's the longevity, find out where
and Lisa referenced that, which is we're getting smarter as time goes on with the Grudge Box program that came to reality a couple years ago. We identified 6 lucky who we thought were aggressive riders to receive a prototype free of charge for testing. I'm sure that the fucking phones are buzzing right now at Baker Drivetrain. I want to be on the next. I want to be your test pilot, But they were required to put miles on. One of the recipients was our guy over in Germany who represents us in Germany, Jerry's Bakery. And Jerry, I insisted that he put, X number of miles, Autobahn miles on. Unfortunately, it was like late fall and he froze his ass off and almost died from frost. But, I said, listen, I want you to put, 5,000 of these 10,000 miles. I want them to be Autobahn miles. And anybody who's ridden on the Autobahn, once you get out in the country away from the city, man, you just crack it open and there's no police.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so basically finding out where those weak points are going to be 5 to 10 to 15 to 20,000 miles into the transmission.
That's right. That's right. And we did that. And once again, it was born from our experience at General Motors. General Motors spends a shit ton of money on testing new drivetrains, new cars,
What's the breaking point?
Where's it? Because everything has a breaking point.
Nothing's bulletproof.
Nothing. Everything has an Achilles heel, like we said, and so you have to identify that and just make sure that your design is robust enough to be beyond, so.
Yeah, it's probably one of those deals. If your transmission could maybe handle a Sea Bear kind of vibe with that dude.
What's a Sea Bear?
He's a famous stunt riders on a bagger actually.
Okay.
And
is he a big dude?
Yeah.
But he's like a stunt rider?
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, he's fucking crazy, man. And so with the stunt thing starting to kind of really re-blossom in the Harley world.
Yes.
You have those extreme riders now that are putting things to attest that most of us that just ride are never going to go. Like, this dude's like, you know, they call it drifting, so it's like basically a rolling burnout on the highway, in between cars, just everywhere. I mean, if anybody has a product that's going to fail, he's going to, those kind of guys, not just him, but the other ones like it, are
like him,
are going to, you know, show it. So
I want you to do a 10,000 mile drift, man. Yeah, those guys. I haven't approached any of them. I approached drag racers and different other people. You know maybe you and Rusty can answer this. How big? I know there's always been a culture of Harley drag racing, but it doesn't seem very big amongst maybe me and Steve's generation, if you will. Would you say that?
Not really.
You know, like drag racing Harleys hasn't really been a thing. I think because most of us grew up on sport bikes or something kind of in that realm, so we just think like if we want to go stupid fast, we'll get a Hayabusa.
That's right. That's right. 200 miles an hour out of the box. Yep, go.
That's because ADHRA went away. I mean, if that would have still been going, you would know about it. Instead of it, it kind of went away. And
I got involved with the AMRA, the American Motorcycle Racing Association, here a couple years ago, and I'm still involved. Everything goes in cycles, right?
Yeah.
The AHDRA that Rusty alluded to is come back this year. It is back, but a hell of a year to relaunch any entity, right? Yeah. I mean, this year's fucked up. It's a write-off.
Right.
But Bill Rowe, the owner of it, has done, a really good job. He's had quite a few events this year. And so I think it's only positive, although, I was kind of lined up with the AMRA as far as my efforts. I think any and all drag racing that brings awareness to people, is positive. So bring it on. I don't care, if little Martians come down and form a, Martian Harley Racing Association. I don't fucking care. It's bringing awareness, And drag racing is a riot, by the way. I fucked around with it, starting 5 years ago. I built a bike, for what was Ironworks is kind of a story by story thing, and I went out there and cut mid-9s, at $140 or something. It's kind of fun on an old Briggs and Stratton, motorcycle, but and it's the thing is, it's challenging to make a Harley go fast. Yeah, it's not challenging to put your credit card down and buy a Hayabusa and cut a low 9. Although a lot of people think they can buy a Hayabusa and cut a low 9, to actually do it's another story.
Yeah, it becomes a riding ability.
Going 200 mile an hour on a Hayabusa.
I mean, you just don't turn the throttle and go, or you'd be flying off.
Yeah, that was a cool thing with Horsepower Inc. this year. They're going to do on Sturgis, have kind of like a grudge style drag racing, event. It ended up kind of getting canceled just because how everything was with just the COVID, and Harley was kind of being a sponsor. Yeah, Harley didn't show
San
up.
Diego Customs was involved too, I believe. But they backed out at the last moment. I think I understand why.
Yeah, there's just a ton of prizes, all that. And they were just trying to get it. So it's like bringing drag racing back to the normal guy. Yeah, it's not just like the big events where this is that. It's like hey, one of those run what you brung type thing. You want to talk all this shit on social media that your bike's faster. Like, here's the event to do it. Let's just go out here. Let's have some fun.
Well, and I'll do you one better is that we, not this year because we chose not to attend Sturgis for a number of reasons, but 4 years prior.
I think the last 4 years.
4 years, we rented out the track at Sturgis.
Okay.
And once again, not many people know about this, but we would rent out the track, run what you brung.
Yeah.
And it was free.
And it was fucking free. Not free with a catch. It was free. Just come out. We plunked down the money, rented the fucking track, and come out and talk about a highlight. We were talking about a utopian vision for something. We would have people call here prior to Sturgis's of the past and say, what night is your drag racing? It was the highlight of my attendance out there. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, everybody's wired different. And so talking about this format for a potential new event, you know, having a little bit of, you know, open format drag racing, you got to have fucking helmet and, you know, gloves and, you know, basic safety equipment. It's not idiocy. Although one motherfucker with a parrot on his shoulder crashed and because a parrot bit him on the ear or some fucking bullshit.
When we didn't go this year, though, we had people on Facebook, oh, geez, I wish you're going, I'm so disappointed.
They're disappointed because so that is a potential piece of the puzzle for us.
So think about it like this. I like most people that were born in the 80s, grew up in the back seat of some Cutlass or Buick Regal racing down the street with my parents in the front seat.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
It. Yep.
So drag racing has been a part of my life, but then again, when drag racing became something I could do as an adult, it didn't agree with my ability to pay for it, you know?
Yeah, I understand.
So a show like that is badass, but in order to get drag racing back into maybe the younger people's minds, it's weird that you got to do all this. You got to jump to all these fucking hoops to inspire kids nowadays. But,
it is because it's not a video game that you buy for $19.95.
Right?
Yeah.
For the most, I mean, a good share of them don't play outside, or a generation of them didn't. They're starting to more now.
I tell you what, though. I mean, Lisa did it at the drag strip in a car. When you line up at the tree, and it's so fucking spiritual, dude, to see the bulbs come down. Blink, ka-blink, ka-blink, go.
Yeah.
It's impossible for me to describe with words. It's right up there with, do you know why I ride motorcycles? I'll tell you why. It's when you ride a motorcycle, your heightened sense of awareness is off the chart.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to describe to you out there that's never ridden a motorcycle what that feels like. All I can tell you is you need to experience it.
Yeah.
And drag racing is the same thing. I cannot describe to you with words what's the big deal? You're driving down a little 2-lane road, you know, with a little blinky light in the middle. Well, try it. It's a drug, brother. Yeah. It is a drug.
Especially with doing it on a motorcycle. Like, I remember my first time I went
up
the track.
My God.
Just that step up, and it's like your feet are sticking to the track.
Oh, man.
It's like,
they got the glue on the ground so that you got all kinds of traction. Watch out for wheelies. You watch the light come down. You got your competitor next to you, whether he's beating you or you're beating him. It is fun beyond any video fucking game you can play on your telephone.
It was like my first time drag racing. I'm up there and like trying to talk to people, like, how do you launch this thing, you know?
Oh yeah.
I had a V-Rod, and then it was like,
very cool.
I dumped the clutch, but it had so much traction. I stalled it. I stalled it 5 foot up, but then my bike would only start in neutral, so I was like, first gear, second gear, first gear. Finally got to start neutral, pop in first, and take off.
But it's a wicked drug,
but
right?
as soon as I got off, I turned around. I was like, I need to do that again.
I need to hot lap.
I got to redeem myself. You know,
I need to come back. So if there's any way in this utopian new event we're talking about to weave a taste of drag racing, much like we did at Sturgis in the past, and that was just an 8th mile track, but it was that's all you need. That's because nothing happens on the back half.
It probably needs to be shorter than that. Anyway.
Probably.
It's
if we're gonna do it and I'll just shorten it. Mine is an 8th mile.
Yeah, so you got an 8th mile track, and it's 2-lane.
But I can just back it off.
You can back it off to the 600 foot. I don't know, wherever.
Yeah, that's what they do at the Milwaukee drags. You know, they do it on the oval track, and they do it on one of the straights.
They? Okay.
I was just talking to one of the dudes that puts that on. This guy that runs the high voltage show and things like that up there, and he said, "Yeah, we just bring it back." But they're running everything. You know, they're running fucking every type of bike. There's a class for it all. There's become a culture behind it.
Really? Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So we used to have that down by us. There was the Red River Drag Racing. They had all Harley drags where they had a run what you brung. They had it in classes as far as engine size. And of course, nobody checked. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
It was just like
that's
whatever.
immaterial.
Like
Yeah.
okay, if you had a 80-inch to a 95,
Yeah.
you were in this
Okay,
class,
this
and then
class.
103 up to 117.
Nobody's claiming
and then,
anything.
And then,
bullshit.
but we still had the pro mods.
Okay.
We still had top fuelers.
Fast boys.
We still
Okay.
had all of those guys that would show up.
Okay.
So
Well, you want those big name ones too because those are pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so if you're
Yep.
just like maybe I'm taking my son there, you know, and I'm gonna race my little bagger or whatever down the street, but then he gets to see that fucking
To watch
nitrous.
the whole ritual involved starting a fuel bike is
Yeah.
godlike.
They bring that fucking little cart out,
Yeah.
started, dude. Yeah,
I was
shakes.
running the starter cart on a fuel bike here a few months ago at 131 when. And the start is the most critical. I started it started, and then I saw it go, pow! Well, it torched the head right there and blew it out, and it was like, it's like I saw baby Jesus being born or something, man. It was like spiritual, man. I was next to a fuel bike when it blew up, man. That's cool.
Yeah, 'cause like it's like fuel and methanol bikes and everything. Like as soon as they crack in the throttle, you can't like ever pedal it. You know, right?
No, right. Yeah, you're in the throttle or you're done.
Yeah, you know, you can't
That's
like
it. You can't pedal it
because as soon as
No,
you
no.
do it, you're gonna melt it down.
No, yep. You're gonna torch the head or whatever they call.
so a
So
lot of people don't know is you drive them with your feet too.
yeah, right. You push
like
on the
swinging the weed.
you
Or,
push on. I got the chance to spend a little time on a Top Fuel Harley, and I wanted to spend the time on a Top Fuel Harley for two reasons. Is I saw two articles. One was they were interviewing. A prominent drag racer was if given the chance, would you Angel Sampe.
Mm-hmm.
They were interviewing her, and if given the chance, would you ride a John Force car? She said, hell yeah. If given the chance, would you ride a Top Fuel Harley? And she said, no fucking way. Too insane. And then I read another article that went like this. It said, they deliver the Top Fuel Harley rider to the starting line. They put on his leathers. He hops on the bike. He makes a pass. They meet him at the end of the track, take off his leathers, put on his, what do you call that fucking, or the insane asylum?
Straight jacket.
They put back on his straight jacket and take him back to the asylum. When I read that article, I said,
I got to ride one.
I gotta fucking do that. So it took me 15 tries to make that motherfucker go straight.
Yeah.
Finally, on the 16th try, down at Bradenton, I did a 676 at 202.
Dang.
But I did that by backing off the throttle at 1,000 foot, 300 foot early, because I couldn't tell you if I was where I was on the track. I didn't know if I was at the starting line. I didn't know if I was at the tomato fields. And my eyeballs were switching sockets. And so it was insanity. And what they don't tell you, you're sitting at the starting line waiting for the tree to come down. And then the nitromethane fumes go up in your helmet. And your eyes start watering, but the tree's still coming down. And they don't tell you any of that. And so, and the weird thing is I in retrospect, I remembered when I let off the gas, because when I let off the gas, the front wheel come down. So for the first 1,000 foot, I'm on one wheel, 1,000 horsepower, all crossed up and shit. And that's a drug. That is a drug there.
How do you even like ever go back to normal after that shit?
Right. Well, look at me, man. Take one fucking look at me. But
This is you
anyway,
normal. This is you on drag racing.
but giving people a taste of that, I think, is essential. Is really giving people a taste of that tree coming down, like you described, Steve. I mean, you know, it's spiritual, right? And it's way spiritual.
It don't matter what you're on either.
It doesn't. Right? It really doesn't. If you're on a 40 horsepower, 80-inch Evo, man, it doesn't matter. Just watching it come down, the whole experience is just nuts.
I drag raced a scooter.
Okay. Boom.
I've smoked all of them because like it was the grudge match where you however fat you dialed in your time.
Okay, a dial in. Yeah.
So that dude would leave first, and then I'd leave first, and he had to catch me.
Which one? Yeah.
And all
you just don't break out your time.
Just hold it every time you cut the lights.
But it's fun.
It's a game of consistency.
Yeah. And that's why I'm not a good drag racer. I'm like a ping pong ball. I'm a human ping pong ball, and to be a good drag racer, you have to consistently do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. To be good at any racing.
Robot. Any racing. You have to be a human robot.
Well, one of the biggest type of racings is this kind of emerged through the younger generation is the hooligan flat track and that shit.
Crazy shit.
That's the same way. It's like, it's the hooligan. You run what you run. Just come out there, sign a waiver in case you die,
and you go,
and then haul ass around the fucking circle and just try to make it. And it's huge in Milwaukee, and it's kind of it's spread across the United States 100%. It's at a lot of events, and like Rusty said, at his property, he has the ability to have that there. So it's like it is about trying to find a way to have a bunch of different things to kind of. Maybe the custom bike thing doesn't, hook you into motorcycles, but maybe it's a drag racer. Maybe it's
correct. There's many facets.
Yeah,
many facets.
Well, all of the best rallies started from racing.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Sturgis was about racing.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Daytona now that the city's grown so big and it doesn't really seem to?
Yeah. I mean, Daytona and that's an interesting evolution that's happened as far as commerce. And the size of the event, when we started in the late 90s, Daytona was the event, not Sturgis.
Okay.
Not Sturgis. No way. It attracted all the big of everything. Fast forward to 2020, it is Sturgis without a doubt, and Daytona has taken a second seat, a back seat. Daytona still attracts a lot of the Europeans, and so that makes it interesting. I love talking to people from Sweden and Finland, all the Scandinavian countries and shit. They're hardcore, man.
Yeah,
they come over and they're hardcore. They want to immerse themselves in this culture. Yeah, and in the motorcycle.
It's culture. Like people on here like listening in some small town in America, and they're like, "Man, it's just not going on here," but it's like. It's not really going on in a lot of other places times 10.
Yeah, I heard. That's right. That's right.
Let me ask you this, Bert. So back then, I can't remember. Did they have only one event, or did they have the fall event too?
They had the fall event, and we attended the fall event.
That's the first one.
1998. Biketoberfest, that's me with no tattoos, look. And my beautiful wife. Yeah, who's that guy? He looks actually responsible.
Back then, though, Biketoberfest was more the thinking man's event.
Yes.
And Daytona Bike Week was more the
beer and titties
get out
or whatever
and have fun and look at buttholes or whatever you guys do. So he's balls in your
butthole Jace.
Yeah.
Show me them spokes.
I heard it this year with Daytona, like with all the COVID stuff going on. Daytona really didn't want it to happen for the Biketoberfest. But Ormond Beach and and all that is still kind of welcoming
in the
they're like, hey, come down here,
Of course.
And that's just what I've seen.
So is Biketoberfest happening this?
Only at Ormond.
Yeah.
So Rusty, you always set up at Russmeyer's, right?
Correct.
So how long you been setting up there?
5 years.
And it wasn't it all kind of centrally to just Daytona, and then it's kind of blossomed out of the city over there.
Yeah, so that right there that you see is 1998 Russmeyer's franchise used to be down on Beach Street and International Speedway are close to where
close to the main street and all that shit.
Right, right before you go over the causeway to get to the other peninsula, that's where it used to be, and it was centrally located. the story I understand is Rossmeyer tried to make a move on all that property across the street, and the city shut him down. He said, fuck you, I'm going to go make my own deal. And he did.
Yeah.
Bruce Rossmeyer, I got to know the man before he passed away in a bad accident, you know. He was larger than life.
For real?
He was for real larger than life. I mean, he could sell fucking socks to a rooster.
For sure.
It was that good. He was God. And so, anyways, I'm not sure if I answered your
No, yeah, you're answering it 100% because it's given us a perspective of
what it was
changed,
like back then, you know.
And it's not to like discourage.
It was central.
Yeah.
Because where Beach Street was, where the franchise was immediately adjacent to Main Street, the freak show.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
The freak show, Main Street is still there, but then the circus is across town in Norman Beach up by, you know, way north of town. And so it has diffused.
It used to be all right there, and it took an hour to get across the causeway to come down.
Yes.
To see the
Traffic
to
was
see the booth
so
because it was so
insane.
concentrated in one spot.
Yeah.
that
And I guess all the locals, as the population grew there, it started to become such a hassle because it's not like
see
Sturgis
that.
where the city, you know, is kind of still operating, but Sturgis seems like a fucking, you know, like when we're gone, all those houses.
Oh, it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
Tumbleweeds.
And then you got, you know, Sturgis, it seems like the whole city's built on motorcycle culture. So you got your hill climbs, your drag strip, and then all the other big places.
Right.
And the campsites everywhere. And
Yeah.
Daytona seems like just a normal city that's outgrown the actual rally. You know,
I got you.
Same thing for Austin. Austin with the rock rally, I think this year would have been like maybe 30 years maybe, something around there.
Okay. So
The city of Austin is now, you know, what it was in the 80s and 90s it's nothing compared. Like it was a small town. Now it's,
well, all the cool kids from California moved out there.
yeah,
too,
and that's been
right?
happening for the last
Right.
almost
They can
20
stay
years
there.
though. Yeah.
What do you mean, Rusty? Elaborate.
That's been a
That's
process.
Little
that's been-
California.
Yeah.
They can be in, but that's 200
It's
miles
Little
away.
California. Is that how far it is away from you? The Austin proper
Yeah.
is about 200 miles. So that's sufficiently away from you guys. And you guys are far enough away from the Dallas-Fort Worth goat fuck, you know, such that you're...
Yeah, both
Yeah.
of us are actually just outside of all that. Close enough that we can go do whatever is happening
Into
in
the
town
city.
and get anything that you want at
Yeah.
any time of day.
Yeah.
But far enough away that we don't got to deal with people.
The
both of us are.
craziness, the insanity. Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
far enough away that there's a big difference between Dallas and Fort
Yeah,
Worth.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then as far as people go,
Yeah.
they're a little bit more liberal in
Dallas.
Dallas, and it's a little bit more country in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And then if you move further out, like where he's at and where I'm at, it's even more country. Like
Yeah.
people are nice.
You
to
seem like a very liberal person to me, though.
Oh, I'm sure I do. I try to come across that way.
Walks in here with an AK-47 strapped across his shoulder.
And a bald eagle on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Fucking terabyte in your ear. Let's do a whole bald eagle.
Well, no, you know,
yeah.
it's kind of cool. You know, Dallas, all the cities in Texas have been booming over the last couple of years, 10 years or so. And it's really made it hard to live anywhere in city because not that it's definitely easier than it is in Cali, but
Right.
you know, with property taxes going up because of, I like gentrification. I think it makes towns better.
Yes,
It takes
yes.
shitty areas and makes it a lot more palatable and fun to go to. But
My children had to teach me what that word was.
yeah, it does kind of also create like for if you want to have a small business like mine, there's no way I can afford to be in this trendy area.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I'm not going to bitch about that because I would rather that
it's
great
positive.
restaurant be there and
It's
something else to
positive.
do entertainment wise.
Yeah.
My business isn't an entertainment thing. It's not
you get shit done business.
It's the same thing as how I always tell people about California. I love California.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful,
the same as like Vegas. I love visiting both those places.
Yeah.
I just don't want to live there.
Yeah,
It's the
right,
same
right.
thing in town.
Right.
The reason that people don't like towns is there's too many freaking people there.
Yeah, right,
When there's too many people, there's problems.
There's too much fuckery.
Yeah, so
See, fuckery is one of my favorite terms these days because it really defines a lot of things.
And mental masturbation.
No, I didn't say that again. my wife cut me off on that one. But anyways, I really want to thank you for coming and talking and sitting down and maybe making some progress here on the whole community. That
Man, I appreciate you doing it. It's kind of a hard thing. It's a hard pitch sometimes to walk into these companies that have been around for 20 plus years and say, hey man, I want to I want to sit down and do this and kind of capture your story and your path to building this company to hopefully maybe inspire other people that are in a position, because if you look, I'm looking at this shit going like that is trigonometry to me. So, but for somebody out there, it might not be. So it might be like they just, but I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just when you hear other people create something, it kind of inspires you to not put up a wall thinking that you can't also do it.
I would inspire anybody to pursue their dream because, like you said, a Michigan boy said, you only get one shot. There's only one life. I'm not that bright, but I do have one quality about me, which is this: I am relentless. I will not give up. And I've failed. I've had many designs that haven't made it to see the light of day, that have failed and failed and failed and failed. But I've had a few good ones. Yeah. And got the commercial value out of them. And so I would encourage anybody with a dream to pursue their dream. Do you have any idea how many people told me it was a stupid idea to develop a 6-speed?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Everybody but me.
Everybody but you. She was my biggest cheerleader and said, you have a Beanie Baby for adult men. And sure as shit, she was right. She's right most of the time. And
That's on tape.
That's on tape, baby. But I would encourage anybody to pursue their dream. And what I didn't want was to retire from General Motors engineer, nice comfortable pension, sit in my rocking chair and ask myself, what if? Yeah. What if I would have pursued this different direction in life? And so I would encourage anybody, just don't listen to the naysayers. Do not listen to them. They're just critical of you because they don't have the fucking balls.
Can't be afraid of failure.
You can't be afraid of failure. You can't be. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times, but he made a few good things.
Sure. People ask me all the time, how do you make sure that the pipes work? How do you know that they work? Because there's a pile of them that don't work outside the fucking absolutely. And so just don't listen to naysayers and pursue your dream, please, because that is the foundation of America.
Yeah, 100%.
This is people pursuing their dreams. Small business is the foundation of America. All politics aside, fuck all of that. Small business is the foundation of America. Yep. And so with that, God bless America. Listen, I'm going to say a couple things about America right now.
Okay.
Here we go.
Turn the volume up.
Yep, turn the volume up. America, without a doubt, is fucked up. It's fucked up, but I will tell you, because I've traveled to Asia, I've traveled to Europe extensively, it is still by far the best country on planet Earth. Yeah. I mean, just put on your blinders. All of that shit is noise that's going on right now in this year of the election. All of it's noise. It is believe in this country and believe in the economic might of this country. It is huge, and I love this country, and I will always love this country because it is the greatest country on earth. Believe in it. For
sure. Yeah, 100%.
Amen.
So we'll wrap it up. Tell everybody how to find you guys, social media, Facebook, website.
I don't know anything
Michelle,
about that.
Come in.
Michelle Baker.
So on Instagram, we're Baker Drivetrain. Facebook as well, Baker Drivetrain. We're on Twitter. Baker Drivetrain, and our website is www.bakerdrivetrain.com.
Hell yeah, you got a radio voice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We're gonna cultivate her.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate
thank
it.
you guys.
It's been fun. Cool.
I gotta
and
step out for
Rusty from D&D.
Oh, you're very welcome. Sorry to hijack your podcast.
Yeah, you motherfucker, man. Come in here and hijack my podcast. It's great to see you there. We played a good trick on Jace, man,
That's
by
good.
fucking with him and having his homeboy here walk in the door. So
Really, really good time talking with the Baker family. Thank you guys for having us on and out there and showing us around. And want to thank Rusty from D&D for coming out and dropping a little knowledge and helping this podcast go as well as it went. If you guys want to support this podcast, you can do so by donating to our Patreon, which, all it takes is $1, $5, whatever you feel comfortable with. It automatically drafts once a month, during the year. And it helps us gain the money and the finances needed to go and travel to do podcasts, get people here, keep the equipment up to date, just all that good shit. So also you can do so by checking out our sponsors, Dream Rise John on Instagram and teamdreamrise.com, Paint Huffer Metal Flake on Instagram and painthuffer.com, and Fast Life 25 saves you 10% off. Thundermax EFI on Instagram and shoptmax.com. Fast Life for 10% off at checkout. Lexin Moto on Instagram and lexin-moto.com. Fast Life saves you 15% off at checkout. Simpson Motorcycle Helmets and simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com, and Letric Lighting Co. on Instagram and namscustomcycleproducts.com. Offer code FL2020 lets them know where you heard it and saves you some shipping. I want to thank all the sponsors, thank all the listeners, and thank everybody that was on this podcast. Great time. We had Steve Chamberlain on again helping us out, and really good time. Next podcast is the long-awaited Clem's Speed Shop. We've been ducking and dodging each other for so long. I don't know if that's the right term, ducking and dodging. Let's just say we've been trying to do this podcast for a couple years now, and it finally took place in Long Island, New York. Crazy enough as that. Great time. Stay tuned next week. We'll be back with some more. Peace.